Today, we're riding narrowboats to experience Britain's best vacation on the canals. Over the length of this episode, we'll be exploring the unique elements of the canal system, with over 2,000 miles of navigable waterways and a mix of history and infrastructure, where we'll travel on the iconic British narrowboat through the deepest lock, ride on the famous Anderton Lift, cross the highest and longest aqueduct, and through the deepest and longest canal tunnel in the UK. Welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat. Today, we start in Wales at Goeder Wharf. I booked online with Drifters, but we got it from ABC Boat Hire. We are riding the red-tailed finch today. This is our lovely vessel. And let me introduce you to the crew member joining us today. It's Nicole. Excited?
Yes.
We're already very mellow, ready to go. Let's get on the canal and get started, and we'll do the tour in a bit. So this is the first time taking a narrowboat holiday for both Nicole and I, so we'll be learning as we go.
Looks good. No lights, no red lights.
So whether this is your first time or you're a seasoned boater, the rental boat company will usually send someone out with you. In this case, we have Nathan, to help make sure you know how to operate the boat and are comfortable on the water. So that you push the tiller in the opposite direction of the way you want to go.
I feel like I picked it up.
How are we doing for the first 100 yards?
Great. We haven't crashed.
It's not as easy as it looks. In fact, along the way, there will be a number of challenges, like bridges, where the canal gets as narrow as a single boat width. So here we come, up to our first bridge. Oh, that's snug. That's a big moment. Oh, you're through. You're through.
Okay, thank you.
You have a great time.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you.
That was great.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you so much. And just like that, we've passed the test, and from here on, we're on our own. Now, before we continue, I need to tell you why the canal system is here. The UK was the first country to develop a nationwide canal network, which, at its peak, expanded to nearly 4,000 miles in length. The first canal was built in 1757 and allowed cargo and goods to be transported more cheaply than by land. Boats were pulled by horses, which is why on one side of the canal always has a towpath, which is where the horse would be pulling from. The canals were incredibly profitable until the 1840s, when the steam train was invented, and the railway network began to spread across the country, making the canals slow and outdated. Eventually, the canals were abandoned until they were rescued by the Canal and River Trust, an organization which has been revitalizing the canal network to be used for recreation and tourism, which is why we're here today. I've been looking forward to this trip for such a long time. This is honestly my dream vacation. You're on the boat, you control it yourself, you stop and go whenever you want, and you're just surrounded by countryside and just the two of you. While Nicole drives, I'm gonna be looking through our little guidebook, finding things along the way to tell you about, but mostly finding a pub for us to stop at for dinner. The nice thing about the canal boats is that you can stop anywhere along the towpath, completely for free. Where are we? This picturesque part of the world is the Monmouthshire and Brecon Canal, running 35 miles in length through the Brecon Beacons National Park. And we chose it to start our narrowboat journey because, well, it's not a very popular canal, which means we can get used to driving with the boat without bumping into others. With all this lush greenery around us, it's hard to know where we are without any service on our phone, and the map doesn't update with our current location. So our only landmarks are the bridges, which are all numbered. All right, dinner is at a pub just off Bridge 55, so we have 18 bridges to go.
Oh my God, I'm starving.
I'd like to point out, this is not a fast boat experience. We are currently about to be passed by cyclists. Actually, you could easily walk faster than this. So the speed limit on the canal is about 4 miles per hour, which is basically, if you start leaving a wake behind you, you're going too fast. You don't want to leave a wake behind the boat because that both erodes the sides, but also affects wildlife habitats along the canal. I'd say after the first 20 minutes or so, we're feeling pretty comfortable with this boat. It's long, but you drive slowly, and this is a very quiet canal with very few other boats. Mostly just ducks and birds. Hello, ducks. Hi, guys. We're Canadian too. Holy cow.
No, horses.
Hi, horses. On a personal note, I'm just happy to be traveling with Nicole again. And this is an adventure we've both been excited to do together. Now, she's a bit camera shy, but that doesn't mean she isn't essential to helping me film this adventure. I couldn't have asked for a better first mate. She really is the... Geez, Nicole, do I really have to say all of this about you? I mean, this goes on for another 6 pages.
Yeah.
You enjoying this?
Yeah. I'm hungry.
Getting on the verge of hangry. What I'm getting at is I'm glad I get to do this with her, even though she's not front and center on camera all the time. But Nicole's right. We're now looking for our dinner spot. I'm just in awe of this scenery.
This is some of the most beautiful countryside I've seen.
Have you ever seen anywhere as green and lush as Wales? I couldn't be happier to be here. Not another boat or person in sight. Just a stunning start to our trip.
You know what the difference is, Nicole, about this?
What?
I think if you and I took a boat tour or a boat trip or like a cruise where you just sit and see the scenery, it'd be beautiful. I do that on trains, but I'd get a little bit bored, antsy. I think the fact that we're in control and can do whatever we want and stop and go for a hike, or you're constantly driving, it's just like a little bit of excitement all day long.
Yeah.
This is just incredible. So the other canals coming up. This one doesn't have any locks that we'll be doing on this trip, but the upcoming canals that we'll be doing in future episodes, we'll be going through locks, we'll be going over aqueducts and through tunnels. I'm so excited about every episode. I could do this all day. And the best thing is, that's all we have to do.
And of course, we come across the obligatory Welsh sheep field.
Oh man, we've been on this boat for 25 minutes. It's already the greatest experience. Hi guys. Friendly neighbors out here.
And oh, look at that, a tower too.
Go this
Now,
way.
it's easy to get distracted by the scenery, but pay attention.
I'll give you the tour in a second.
I forgot the way to go.
This isn't a Disneyland ride with bumpers. If you don't pay attention, you'll end up in the bushes, or worse, stuck in the mud.
Look at this. This is like the Microsoft screensaver, but a Welsh version. First park job.
All right, with a little experience under our belt, it's time for dinner.
Nice job.
Not only is this testing our boating skills, but also our communication skills.
I don't think you need to reverse. You can't steer.
That looks great. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's our first time parking. Here we go. Again, I'll give you the tour in a minute. Ugh.
So, narrowboats are allowed to park anywhere along the tow path for up to 2 weeks, for free. The boats come with stakes and a hammer to park the boat, and it does take a little while to set up, so this might just end up being where we spend the night. But I have to admit, it's a pretty nice spot.
Nicole. Sorry. Look at these guys. There's our friends. They're the big pigs.
Are they?
Yeah. Watch over the boat for us, please.
Okay, our next challenge is finding dinner.
Now, is this the right time to admit that we diverted from the guidebook and just went to using our Google Maps?
We found another pub that was a little bit closer because we were getting hungry.
My gosh.
This is like an oasis in the middle of the desert.
The Horseshoe Free House is a quaint inn and pub in the middle of the Welsh countryside, where the patio is alongside a field of sheep.
Oh my gosh, this might be the best patio I've ever sat at. Normally a nice patio is alongside a lake or something like that, and we're in the sun, right alongside a sheep field. I can tell you, I'm not ordering lamb tonight. It's too close to home.
This is our first day in the UK on this boat series, and it's already everything I had imagined it would be. The ale I ordered gets hand pumped from the keg.
I got a local Welsh ale that's named after the spring that's on the other side of that mountain right there. Lovely, thank you.
And of course, we ordered our Sunday roast dinners.
Mine is like a cranberry bacon wrapped chicken roast dinner. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's hot.
Wow. Well, that is cherry.
Yeah.
This is the most serene and beautiful dinner I think I've ever had.
This is the best. Every part of this has been amazing.
And just when I thought it couldn't get any better, we get this at sunset.
That is the darkest, brightest rainbow I have ever seen. Yes, it's a full arch.
These are the moments I've come for. Narrowboating under a rainbow. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect first day. Wales, you're incredible. But we have a long trip ahead of us, and I'm sure it won't all go as smoothly as today.
It's about 8:30 at night, and you can't boat after dark. Sun just set, so I think we're gonna call it a night and just stay here. What?
Bedtime.
Bedtime coming, dear.
Cup of tea before bed.
Oh, yeah, wine in Wales, why not? And this feels like the perfect time to give you a tour of the boat finally. So come aboard the Red-tailed Finch. As you come down the first steps, we have a little coat hook. Comes with raincoats because we are in Wales and it might just rain. Fire extinguisher. Then we come into the galley. Sink, propane stove, oven, fridge, toaster, microwave. Then we come through into the dining living room. This also pushes down into a bed if you were to have another couple with you or more friends. This would turn into a bed area. A little TV and DVD player, which will never get used. We'll come down the hall into the bathroom, sink, toilet, and a pretty good little shower. Like lots of room in here. Come on down the hall into the master bedroom. A little more storage area. This folds down like on a train into another bunk bed, so you could have a 2 and a third, 4 or 5 sleeping up front. And of course, the bow, which is where Nicole is reading in like the quietest, calmest, most pristine area in the world. And that's the boat. Not that big. Seems to have everything we need.
It's time to close up the boat for the night. We'll see you in the morning.
Oh, morning. If this isn't a Welsh morning, I don't know what is. All right, raincoats on. Let's get moving. Nothing I haven't seen in Vancouver before. One thing about this boat is there's no way to operate it from inside, so we'll be out in this all day, and we have somewhere to be in a few hours, so we have to get moving.
Once the lines are all up, we're good to go.
Another day in paradise.
So, this morning I'll drive, and Nicole's making us a warm cup of tea, and we are headed to the 5 Locks in Pontcysyllte. It's another few miles, which will take us a couple of hours of cruising just to get there. The nice thing is, if you want some exercise, like Nicole here, one of you can walk alongside on the towpath while, well, I drive the boat. Just as you think it can't get any nicer, you go around the next bend, and it looks like this.
This feels like I'm on a jungle cruise. So the reason we have to be somewhere at a certain time and why today is so important is it's because it's the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And so we're joining a flotilla of boats to do a little boat parade in honor of that.
Oh God, there's a spider on your collar. Oh God.
Where? Which collar?
This, your right one. I was so brave of me.
Oh, you did so good. What a lovely little home. Look at this. Little cuppa, as they say. Not much better than this. With weather like this, I now understand why they drink so much tea.
Remember, this is a relaxing experience, but you can't get too distracted by Nicole, because there are challenges around every bend, and I didn't line up this curve under a bridge very well.
It's the first one I've had to crouch for. We didn't want that to end up in the propeller. That is a long branch. I swear this feels like a jungle. Like, look at that. That's like a vine. We're starting to get closer to a city because you can see homes are here now.
Now, as you can see, the canal turns a lot. That's because the canal follows the topography of the land. We can't easily go up and down in water on a boat. So they have the canal curve along the hillside, which I think makes this a fantastic experience. Always awaiting with anticipation what might be coming around the next corner. And I need to tell you, we haven't done any color correction to this footage. It's actually just this green.
I mean, tell me this isn't some of the most lush green forest you've ever seen. Every inch of it is covered in dark green. It's incredible.
So Nicole's getting her steps in on the towpath while I'm getting a little creative with my exercise.
Work with me, folks, work with me. Here we go. Pa, pa, pa.
But I'm thoroughly enjoying the challenge of driving a 50-foot narrowboat.
Look at that! Look at this! It's so dark in here. It's 10 a.m. Gosh, we picked this canal because I thought it would be easy cruising, but this is probably the narrowest bit we've done yet.
Sometimes the canal gets narrower for seemingly no reason. It feels like it's just to make sure we're paying attention, or like a speed bump to make sure we're going slowly. But Nicole is actually looking over the edge. You can see her on the left there. And she says it's an aqueduct, and we're actually passing over a road, which I think is so cool. To think we're on a water bridge passing over traffic is just wild. but from my point of view, I'm so focused on making sure I don't scrape the sides that I don't even notice the road. And I wouldn't have known if Nicole hadn't told me. Oh, and here comes another feature of the canal.
So this is one of those spillover points that levels off the canal. So any excess water, like when it's raining like today, goes off down into that and into the river below. And that way the canal always stays at the same level, except in the hot summer months when it can get a little bit lower at times.
The other nice thing about narrowboating, besides the beauty along the canals, is the community.
Can't get around the corner. I appreciate it. Well, we're coming back from the flotilla. That's around 1 o'clock. Yeah, that's one thing I've heard a lot about. It's not just about being on the canal boat and enjoying the canals, but it's kind of the life and culture and meeting others along the way. Thanks to him, Ashley, for the tip.
And it doesn't seem to matter that we're on a rental boat. If you're on a narrowboat, you're a part of the community. I love that.
We're now looking for a parking spot.
As it's a pretty unique lifestyle with its own challenges, everyone sort of looks after one another.
I don't mean to toot my own horn. That was pretty good until I bumped it. I'm trying to make a joke about it.
But for now, it's breakfast time.
Gonna get some breakfast finally. What is it, 10:30 in the morning? Today's breakfast is the Boatyard Cafe. It's an old canal boat, but it's now on land. Breakfast bath, please.
Do I hear bagpipes? This floating parade is to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. Yes, this was filmed before her passing. Now there are prizes for Best Decorated Boat and Best Costume, and it looks like the competition is fierce.
Lovely.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Because we're in a rental boat, we'll fill in at the back of the parade. We did our best to pull together a last-minute Jubilee celebration outfit.
Hey.
What do you think? How do we do?
Feel like I fit in a little bit. All right, our turn. Ready to wave? Okay.
I love seeing the crowds out for any event. I mean, how fun is this? These small communities in Wales have come out to see a boat parade. If this doesn't show you exactly how special these boats are to these communities, then I don't know what will.
This has been the best way to be indoctrinated with the canal life.
This parade has us traveling a few miles together through Pontypool to Pontymoyle.
This is our lowest one yet. That one barely cleared the boat. Oh, and how fitting is this? The next bridge is called the Crown Bridge. We're slow. There's something on our propeller or our tiller or something.
What is happening? We can't even see the boat in front of us anymore. Something's not right. We're going slower and slower and falling behind, even though I have the throttle set at full speed.
We are falling further and further behind the group. We catch up at the tight points, and then they leave us on the long straightaways. We've really got to fix whatever's down below.
I hate to do this, but we need to find somewhere to pull over and figure this out. What a pain in our day. Now I have to change out of my suit too? This is not how our first full day is supposed to go. Luckily, they showed us how to check this when we rented the boat. It's amazing how quickly you can go from being in a parade to elbow deep in the canal. Even though the keys are out of the ignition, I still have a fear of reaching down and putting my hands on the propeller.
Ooh, it's cold water.
I've never done this before, so I don't really know what I'm feeling. Oh, whoa, that's not right.
There's one.
Okay.
There's a strap. More strap. That feels clear. I think it was just the strap. Just by this. Just this. All right, let's see if we can go catch this parade.
I know these moments are annoying. I mean, we had to pull out of the parade, and it's easy to feel like this has ruined our afternoon.
Yeah, it's going faster.
But Nicole and I worked well as a team to figure it out, and honestly, this is probably the story we'll tell back home. Sometimes it's these little struggles that are what make narrowboating an actual adventure and not a boring cruise. Speaking of which, let's see if we can catch up to this flotilla.
We're coming up to our very first tunnel, not a bridge. This is like an actual tunnel. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at the masonry in this tunnel. The engineering and history of the canals is just as impressive as the scenery itself.
This is so cool.
And that's saying something because Wales is stunning.
This is amazing. It's like coming out into another world.
Now, because we've fallen so far behind, the parade has already turned around and come back towards us.
Hello.
Enjoying it?
Very much so.
Good.
Once we finally get it turned around in front of a crowd, there are some very friendly boaters who noticed we're new here and they wanted to greet us. You see, narrowboats aren't just for holidays. These fellas are called liveaboards because they live aboard their boat. What do you do if you live on a boat? Do you go to work somewhere or do you work?
I work 3 days a week in an hour away from here
So how do you get to work?
in a car.
Okay, so you do have a car, okay.
Yeah. And then 2 days a week I work on the boat, online.
Online.
I'm a saddler, a leather worker, so I just drive to customers, sort their saddles out, have a small workshop.
So how does it work to manage, for both of you, a car and a house that potentially moves? And then how do you move the house and the car?
So you drive to somewhere, park the car, then drive the boat, walk back, get into the boat, take the boat up to that area.
So slow, short distances at a time. All right, enough chit chat. Let's see what it's actually like to live on board.
This is a tight squeeze in. This is how I know you're maximizing space indoors.
Living on board an airboat has the constraints of space.
This is actually, this bed folds down, so I can't do it at the moment because we've got all the stuff in the engine.
But this is where you sleep.
Yeah, it's a very small bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Compost toilet.
Oh, compost toilet.
It may be 57 feet long, but it's only 6 feet wide.
She also sews, so all the bunting on our boat today she's made. So
Wow.
Which means you're essentially living in one long hallway.
Pantry kind of thing?
yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow, look at that.
So you give up some of your everyday luxuries, but of course, you gain the benefits of freedom and living on the water.
And then this is our favourite part.
The front patio.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the benches.
Yeah, this is a good part. So it's also where we store our wood, and that's where we put the water in and stuff. It's perfect.
Lewis, thanks so much for the tour.
No worries.
I get it. I get the appeal. Can I convince you? Chance?
I could be convinced.
Hey, we're in business.
Now, being inspired by Lewis and Gareth, we're headed into town to stock up our own kitchen. Really, the nice thing about these boats is they have fully functional kitchens with everything you need. So we're stocking up just like we would at home.
Most beautiful walk to a grocery store we've ever done.
We've done a lot of walks to a lot of grocery stores.
Now, after a long day, it's time for a cup of tea before we start to head back up the canal.
All right, after an exciting day of the Queen's Jubilee and grocery shopping and visiting people who live on boats, that's the most southern point on this canal. It's a dead end, so we're gonna head back north.
After coming down with a goal of joining the parade, we're headed back with no real schedule or anywhere to be for the first time on this trip. And this must be what it's like to live on board. The choice to go as far as you'd like, and to putter along and stop when you want.
Coming through a tunnel again. The only tunnel going back.
What I find most impressive is how sheltered the canals are from the rest of the towns along the route. We can't see any homes, buildings, or streets, which makes it great for boaters, but also locals who can come use the towpath to walk or jog and get away from it all.
I mean, you have to admit, this feels like a Disneyland ride, right? This is amazing. Just keep it off the walls, you're all good. I mean, this might just be one of my most interesting adventures yet. This country is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen, but the fact that you travel it by boat just doubles it.
It's a little oasis in town, and now it's time for dinner. Ah, here's a pub right on the side of the canal. Let's stop here.
Onwards we go to the next pub for dinner. They weren't serving food anymore, which worries me about the next one.
Okay, we've checked the map and there doesn't seem to be any more canal-side restaurants ahead of us, so we're just gonna order online at an Indian restaurant and go into town to pick it up. As we eat on board, the sun sets, and well, we might just spend the night here. So let's just cut to morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So today is our last day on the boat. We don't have a schedule, we don't have anywhere we have to be, except tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., back where we started to return the boat. So we're just gonna cruise and enjoy the day. Get to know the local ducks. Not a single person out here this morning. This feels like a self-guided Disneyland ride. along the route is all sorts of hidden history.
Now the reason this point is so narrow is because it's actually the connector between two canals, the Monmouthshire and the Brecon Canal, and this was the old toll house. So you'd stop in here, pay the toll, and then they'd open the gate and let you onto the other canal.
Living on a boat is a relaxing experience, but there is some general maintenance to be done.
Because Nicole and I have taken showers and done dishes, we're a little low on water. And this is what's called a water point. Let's give this a go. We apparently just fill that until it overflows. So I'm gonna stand by the nozzle so I can watch that. Wow, I didn't even realize we used that much water. This kind of really reminds us to think about our water usage in the world. Overflowing, there we go. There we go. Shut her down, shut her down. Oh, whew. I think this is my reminder to you that while it feels like a holiday, there are in fact responsibilities. So for me, this is kind of my ideal vacation. It's relaxing with little bits of adventure and things to do to keep you busy so you don't get too bored. And while we've stopped for water, why not get another breakfast bap? Perfect. Good stop. Water for the boat and
Egg
for
on
us.
Egg on your face.
Off we go!
Even though we're heading back on the same canal we came down, it hasn't lost any of its luster. This is just as enthralling as it was on the way down. And maybe more, since we're not in a rush. You just see it differently. This bridge is a great example of the few times that we do see signs of modern life while on board, while the cars above us don't actually have any idea that we're down here. Life on board a narrowboat is simple and peaceful. And in Wales, anyways, it's full of sheep. Hey, I'm dressed just like you. This is wool too. I love your coat. Looks great. Traveling with your whole house with you means you can take turns driving while the other one reads or can get some work done or just sit and eat carrots.
Oh, look who we found. Look how close you get. Look at this. Hi guys. Do you guys know which way to the pub? It's the most peaceful, enjoyable holiday vacation I've ever done.
I think it's clear that I love this. What does Nicole think?
The bed's a little small.
Well, maybe the next one.
Sometimes we go hours longer than we should reasonably without food. Like, this was not a relaxing 4 days.
No.
It was actually pretty stressful. And look, I will say, it is stunning out here, especially when you get into the countryside.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting trip so far. I look forward to getting better at learning how to work on the boat together and time our days a bit better.
What have you thought about driving the boat?
I like driving the boat.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, along with the challenge of driving a long boat, the other difficulty is finding dinner.
I think we took a wrong turn. That's it. On a rainy day like this is like a warm sanctuary. And they're not serving food tonight. That store is closed. The fish and chips bar is closed. No luck tonight. But it's all about who you're traveling with to, well, just make it fun.
I guess it's a good thing we went grocery shopping.
So tonight is dinner a la groceries. I think we're having a deli style dinner.
Question is, Michael, are you going to have peanut butter and jam as per usual, or are you going to branch out and have a ham sandwich? Let me just guess. Peanut butter and jam.
I already had one of those today. I'll have a ham and cheese.
Get out. Who are you?
Dang. Way to throw together a dinner, baby.
Thanks, baby. Mwah.
Leftover tandoori from last night, fresh cut veggies, ham and cheese sandwiches.
And so, we settle into our evening routine.
You know what's nice about this trip? I think both of us had more time to do our hobbies, do what we love. You get time to read, I get time to wash dishes, which I love.
Well, when you have all those compostable sponges to go through, because that really makes an exciting part of your day.
Exactly. Our final day. We have about an hour's cruise to return this.
This was my first time in Wales, and I can tell you, it has absolutely blown me away. From the pristine and green countryside to the warm hospitality, I am in love with narrowboat life.
So this canal has really set the standard for us. The next 3 canals coming are gonna be a little bit busier, have more locks, probably a lot more boats on them, and we're gonna keep reflecting back, are they better than this one? So keep that in mind as we do the next ones. You can start voting in the comments down below in the next upcoming videos.
Which has me sad that this is the end of our time on the Monmouthshire and Brecon Canal. But excited to discover what's different and unique about the upcoming canals, like the slightly more stressful Trent and Mersey Canal.
This is it. Guys, this is it. We're doing it, we made it. Today we are headed to the smallest canal in the UK. And to get there, we're gonna have to go through the engineering marvel that is the Anderton Lift. Welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat.
This week we're riding the Trent and Mersey Canal, which was the first long-distance canal in the UK, which brings us here to Black Prince Holidays and Acton Bridge on the Trent and Mersey Canal. In order to take on the challenges of the Trent and Mersey, I've invited along some local helping hands.
Hello. Oh, I love having new crew members on board. This is a good start. Come on up, Helen. This is our good friend, Helen.
Hello.
And if you're a long-time subscriber, you may remember, come on up, Gareth, who I spent 2 weeks in Las Vegas with, which is probably 2 weeks too long in Vegas. But, we had a good time.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to say 2 weeks too long with me.
The reason we came to do this trip at this time of year is because they just got married and we got invited to the wedding and put it all together, so thanks.
And so after a great wedding, this boat trip is a fun little celebratory mini-moon for them. A time for Gareth and Helen to relax, and for me to catch up with an old friend.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
So welcome, and Nicole, you're still here too.
But in reality, I don't think Nicole and I are ready for the challenges that are to come on this canal. And we need Gareth, a local who's been narrowboating before, to be our team leader.
If you've never done a lock before, it can be really, really scary to do the first one. But once you've done that, you'll realize that it's actually absolutely fun.
Doing the lock is the most dangerous part. That's where boats can be flooded or sink if they get stuck on the sill. That's where all the accidents happen. The speeds otherwise on the boats are so slow that if you bumped into anything, it doesn't do anything. But the locks are actually where you can end up sinking a boat.
They're also really dangerous for like falling in. The last thing you want to do is fall into a lock, because as the water's rushing throughout, that's when you can drown. So we don't want to do that.
So the last episode we didn't have any locks. This is you're building the tension now. This is supposed to be an enjoyable, relaxing experience, and now here we are.
But until then, we can enjoy this amazing waterway, which is cut into this otherwise pristine countryside. And well, yeah, spend some time with our new guests.
Have you found a suitable eatery for tonight?
You have to admit, it's a little wider and straighter than last week so far. That's not a bad thing. This actually makes for slightly easier and more relaxing cruising.
Cows might be one of my favorite animals.
We've only just started our second canal here, and this is reaffirming why I love narrowboats. But very little can compare to watching a 57-foot long narrowboat in a canal cross across an aqueduct with a river below. I mean, what a reminder of the feat of engineering that this canal is, especially because it was built in the 1800s. Back then, this was the way to ship cargo, but now it's a leisure activity, and we pass under roads and often go unnoticed from the outside world. All right, enough of the drone shots. Let's prepare for our first challenge of the day.
Wow.
That one's yours. Helen's eaten hers already.
Mustard?
A little mustard, a little butter.
Hello.
Didn't want to eat on camera. Yeah. Oh, it's much better cruising with friends. This is great. So we've reached our first tunnel. It's the Saltersford Tunnel, and you can see it's right here. That little white light is a boat coming through the tunnel. Because the tunnel's so long and it's so difficult to see through, it's set times of when you can go through. So if you only have a 20-minute window from the 30 to the 50, and then there's kind of like a 10-minute buffer in the opposite direction, they'd be able to go at the top of the hour until the 20 minutes after. We're gonna tie off and just wait until we can go through. This whole area is for boats waiting specifically for the tunnel, and we're the first of two so far. Currently walking up and over the tunnel just to see what the other side is like. That little brick tower in the middle of the field here is actually the ventilation shaft at the top of the tunnel. Because in the old days they used to use coal and all sorts of vessels, and they needed to clear it out. Excuse me, ladies, do you know that you're directly on top of a tunnel at the moment? Does that bother you at all? Does that help with anything? No? Just a cow's field on top of this tunnel. We have a couple things we need to get ready to go through the tunnel.
Tell us, Captain.
Who's driving us through the tunnel?
I'm driving us through the tunnel.
There we go. Headlights, Skipper. To give us depth, we got to turn on all the lights indoors so that you can see them come through the windows. There we go. This way the lights will shine out the windows onto the walls and we'll be able to see the distance, because otherwise it's just so dark you can't see it all. Gareth, can you give us, as we get to the tunnel, give us the old double toot on the horn. The old double toot. That's a technical canal boat, narrow boat term I've definitely know is officially true. There it is. Here we go. This is such a quiet, ominous moment. Just going into darkness. Not a sound. Wow. This is so cool. Look at the reflection. How cool is that? I should probably sit down for this. As we enter the tunnel, you'll notice that this is the first time where there isn't a towpath. As we saw last week, these narrowboats were originally pulled by horses, which is why there's a towpath alongside the canal for the entire distance, except for tunnels. Instead, the boatmen would lay on their backs and leg their way through the tunnel, pushing themselves along using their feet on the walls. I'm just thankful we don't have to do that today. These tunnels are just another piece of narrowboating that make it actually an adventurous experience rather than the gentle cruise that most people think it is. Do you have any idea what's above us right now, Helen?
No, absolutely not.
If I told you it's cows, would you believe me?
No.
It's cows. I went up there, there's a cow field. And this is that ventilation tower we saw. So the cows are right about here somewhere. We made it, Gareth. We're still floating. We do this all day. And we're going to. This is it. This is tunnel number 2. So this is the Barnton Tunnel and it's 525 meters long. So a little bit longer. The tunnel's clear, so we're good to go. Give it the old toot toot. Beep beep. Hello. Empty. Good to go. This is mesmerizing.
It looks like there is nothing there.
Right.
It looks like it's just a hollow pipe and we're just...
Since this tunnel is straight, there's no need to wait for a specific time to pass through. Just check ahead, and if there's no boat coming, you're free to enter. I will admit, these tunnels are a little cooler inside than the air outside, so while they are interesting to ride through, I do prefer being, back out here. So, we've successfully survived 2 tunnels, but we've yet to go through our first lock. Don't worry, that will come. What else does the Trent and Mersey have for us in the meantime?
Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy. Ooh. Wow. That's a big family of swans.
Well, I don't want to spoil the evening, but is anyone else getting hungry?
If you want to park in front of this boat, this up on the left is the Stanley Arms. Probably a good spot for dinner tonight.
Great.
I don't think we could have picked a better spot. Moored up right in front of the pub we're going to for dinner. Love it. Private restaurant pub mooring.
Ah, the Stanley Arms, the perfect place for a canal-side dinner. Except for one thing.
Monday, no service. No food service. If you saw last episode, we had the same issue. I'd like to say I thought we were living the dream when we literally moored at the pub, and now we're walking through an industrial park to find dinner. Oh, we made it. Looks like an oasis. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cheers. Cheers.
All right, food acquired, now back to the boat.
It was just a quick catch-up dinner tonight because we have to get up early for the Anderton Lift. What a nice, slow way to start the morning.
Oh yeah.
Now, before we get to our first lock, we're scheduled to pass through the Anderton Lift. This large structure will lower or lift your vessel 50 feet from the Trent and Mersey Canal above to the River Weaver below. It is designated as a scheduled monument and is known as one of the 7 wonders of the waterways. Impressively, it was built in 1875 and ran for over 100 years until it closed due to corrosion in 1983. Thanks to restoration, it was able to reopen in 2002, and today we get to ride it.
So this is the entrance for us to get in, but you can see it's kind of at an angle. we won't be able to make the corner into the waiting area. So we're gonna have to go ahead and I'm gonna pull my first winding turnaround. 3-point turn. Well, we'll see how many points it takes. All right, couple obstacles here. Got to avoid the ducks on the right. Go full hard lock here. All right. So far, so good. The problem with driving this isn't only its length, it's also its weight. Doesn't stop like a car or even a truck. I've done it. Feeling pretty proud, if I do say so myself. And we are being guided onto the Anderton Lift with Jason here from the Canal River Trust. Pleasure to meet you.
All right there.
All right. So how do you describe the Anderton Lift to people?
So basically it's 2 large tanks
Yeah.
connected to each other by some hydraulic rams, and they lift or lower narrow boats 50 feet.
And the purpose was to replace a lock because you can go much higher, 50 feet, rather than a lock going 15 feet.
Because of the amount of traffic here at the time, we'd have needed 5 10-foot deep wide locks, which is quite considerable. So basically when it was originally built, the lift was built on an island.
Oh, really?
And had a basin going underneath it. So instead of building an embankment out to the lift, they had to build an aqueduct.
Right. So it's basically an elevator for narrow boats.
Absolutely, yeah.
But in order, because boats normally sit at the top of an embankment, a hill, you've had to build the aqueduct so we can get flat out to it. So we're currently in the aqueduct, and this is going to close behind us. This is the gate. Keep all the water in, I suppose.
The main difference between the lift and lock system is that the water we're sat in now stays with us, and basically we then sit in a big tank of water and go down in that tank of water and then get let out the other end.
I mean, it's a simple concept, but it's a huge, complicated machine to make it work. Those are the gates that's going to seal us in, so they sit in the water, hence they drip when you go through. So we tie to the wall so we don't float around.
When that comes down, that will seal this as a tank of water, and just the other side of that, attached by a small lever, is the aqueduct gate. So again, that will seal the water into the aqueduct. So it doesn't fall all over the top of us.
It doesn't come pouring down. And that's it. We're dropping, which means the other caisson should be coming up. It's very smooth. And so remind me, we are going down 50.4 feet. And how long does it take for us to drop?
It takes about 15 minutes for the actual drop. The whole process takes around 35 minutes with the gates and everything.
So I guess this is halfway, 25 feet. So it's not exactly like an elevator where you come in one door and go back out the same door. You come in and you go out the other side, which works. So you're always pointed in the correct direction.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
So
We've reached bottom.
We've reached river level now.
Brilliant. For 1875, brilliant.
So you're about to experience the best view of the Anderton boat lift, which is from the river, looking back up to it.
And this is why they call it the what?
The Cathedral of the Canals.
The Cathedral of the Canal. A bit of industry built in the 1800s for us to enjoy as a recreation in the 2000s. I love that. Now that we're at the bottom, Jason's going to give us a quick little tour of the River Weaver here, pointing out a few of his favorite sites.
The canal network within the country, within England and Wales, is over 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles of canals.
And it's an absolute hidden gem. During the Second World War, because metal and steelwork was in short supply, they actually started making boats out of concrete.
I love to see man-made things be taken back by nature. We've just left the Anderton boat lift back there, and around the first bend is pure nature, and this, you just said, is a nature park. But to think that this was one of the biggest industry waterways in the country at the time, and it's just completely back to nature.
We're really lucky to have him take us along and share a lot of his local knowledge with us.
So you were saying this is Northwich, or
So this is Northwich Town Centre, so it's Northwich.
And
so the witch means salt.
Because we're on the salt mines.
So you've got Northwich, Leftwich, Droitwich, they're all salt towns.
And we're seeing the back of buildings.
Seeing the back of the buildings here, yeah. There was a period during the 70s and 80s where a lot of the building work in Northwich turned its back on what was an industrial river at the time.
Hide it from the public when it's a big industrial, dirty place.
Absolutely.
But now that it's a recreational spot,
the plan is to start turning these buildings around.
More patios and walkways on the water side. So really the river is what built these towns, but now it's actually changing the towns.
It is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so here's the swing point. So the bridge swings off that, and this was the first electric swing bridge in the UK.
Town Bridge and Hayhurst Bridge were two of the very first electrically operated pontoon swing bridges.
These little bits of history and information likely go unnoticed by many and honestly have zero impact on my life, but while I'm here on the boats, I find it fascinating. But it's time to turn around and head back up the River Weaver. We are riding back up the Anderton Lift to the Trent and Mersey Canal. And actually riding it a second time is a little more fun because I actually know how it works now and I can just sit back and enjoy the ride. I mean, what an impressive piece of engineering. I love this kind of stuff, and the fact that it's still operating is amazing. There's just so much history out here on the canals. But now we're back to continue our journey.
Take us away to the next stop. We still have to get to the UK's smallest canal. And we also haven't gone through a lock yet. I think we're gonna come across one of those soon.
Sorry, can we just cut all the music and excitement for a second? I just want you to hear what it's really like out here. Listen to that. It's just the sound of birds and a slight hum from the engine. The only word I have for this, serene. Okay, back to the music. And after that hidden, serene, scenic part of the canal, we come out next to a small shipyard, or I guess here they're called boatworks. Either way, we're now coming into more of an industrial area.
This is a salt mine that's still active. You can really see what it would have looked like 100 years ago on the canals with just cargo barge after cargo boat coming through.
And after another hour or so of beautiful cruising, you can start to feel the anxiety building on the boat as we approach our first lock.
So we're gonna have a little team meeting because we are approaching our first lock, which is the big lock. It's the double-sided, double-wide lock.
And this is exactly why I brought Gareth along. He just doesn't know it yet.
In an ideal world, we would team up with another canal boat going this way, and we go in together, and our first experience of a lock is very much assisted by people who are more familiar with the lock.
Yes.
I guess what we're saying is we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know anything. Does anyone have a particular role they would like?
I'd like you to guide me on the lock.
Yeah, let's
Perfect.
lock team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Driver.
All right, settled.
And just as I expected, he stepped up to be the team lead. This is it. The moment of truth. Can we survive our first lock?
Step one, crew disembarks. Okay, the crew is ashore. Looks like the lock is closed and full. This is my first time going through a lock, and there will be many more after this. So I hope we can get this right. I will say, at least there are no gongoozlers watching us. That's embarrassing. Gongoozler, technical term for people who watch you go through locks.
So we're gonna let the water out of this lock, and we probably only need to open one gate because it's a double width. You know what you're doing?
They're opening the paddles to lower the water level in the lock so that they can open the gates to let me in.
Oh my gosh, we're doing this.
Remember, even I'm new to this and looking to Gareth for guidance.
So I need to go right up against the wall at the front, Gareth? Is that what it is? Helen, do you remember? Okay, next step. Gareth is gonna close the door behind us. We will be locked in the lock. Oh, we do indeed. We're right next to a pub. We do indeed have a couple of gongoozlers.
Honestly, I feel like I got the easy job. I just hope my team knows what they're doing with the lock gates. Luckily, Gareth has done this a bit growing up with his family, but now he's in a leadership role. So once I drive in the gates, they'll close them behind me.
You're a beast, Gareth!
Then they start to let the water into the lock from the canal above to float our boat up to equal level with the upper canal.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen when the water stops, and then we'll do it again.
This process takes about 10 minutes. It's kind of like filling a bathtub. If you don't know, a lock is a mechanism to float your boat up or down to a canal at a different elevation. In this case, we're trying to go up about 8 feet.
Last foot of water coming in. It feels like the calm before the storm. That was too smooth so far. I don't want to jinx it.
I should probably add that once you know what you're doing, locks are actually not that difficult and they can be quite safe if operated correctly. The problem is that this is our first time and there's no one here to help us. With a little bit of encouragement from Nicole, the forward gates are opened and out we go. And that is how boats go up and down in elevation in canals.
That's it, that's our first lock.
And after that long, hard day, Well, I think we're just gonna pull over here at the appropriately named pub, the Big Lock, for a traditional British supper.
Shrimp scampi, steak and ale pie with mushy peas, burger. Classic. Turn off the disco lights. All right, good night, you two.
Good night.
See you in the morning.
And we need a good night's sleep because today is the day that we'll finally make it to our destination, the shortest lock in the UK.
Morning. Let's go stretch our legs before we hit the road and go for a walk on the footpath.
And it's not a great start for everybody.
Looks like someone's mooring came loose last night or this morning. I think we should knock. They must be in town. Oh yeah. Here's their pin. Yeah, they've come loose. Do we try and pull it in? This is the kind of situation where you ask, what would you want someone to do for you? I would want someone to pull my boat in.
This is just another unique challenge of living on a boat.
Well, you've moved it a bit.
I learned last week that the narrow boating community looks after one another, and we're a part of that community now. So it's only fair that we do our part to help.
The trick is, you tie it back with, I presume, a different knot than they used, because then when they get back, they see someone else tied it for them. So at least they learn that it was out. Okay, now we're soaking wet. Let's get rolling. And away we go. He's talking to his boat neighbors about, someone tied me up. Did my knot hold? Yeah, you're welcome. No, I was out for a walk and you were right across.
Boating in the rain isn't the most desirable, but we have to push on and find the shortest canal. Of course, before we can get to the shortest canal, we've come across our next challenge. You see, just on the other side of Middlewich, which is this cute little city, is our first lock flight. A flight of locks is multiple locks back to back with a rest chamber in between. As you can see, these locks are only a single boat width. And since this one is so deep, it's mighty intimidating down here, which is why I've given Gareth the job of driving the boat. Knowing that we worked well together as a team yesterday has us feeling pretty good about these locks this morning. In fact, we're working so efficiently that we're even getting ahead of ourselves.
And while Helen and I are here, Nicole has gone ahead to make sure the third lock is in the position it needs to be for us to go in quickly.
Each lock takes about 15 minutes to fill with water, and with waiting for other boats, these 3 locks will take us over an hour just to get 500 meters down the canal. But that's pretty representative of life on a narrowboat. Slow and steady wins the race. And these locks will definitely get you sweating.
Well, in those 3 locks, we went from downpour to almost sun out.
All right, we're ready to push on. The shortest canal can't be that much further. Can it? Well, in fact, it's just a mile away. I chose the shortest lock as our destination almost at random. I'm someone that doesn't do very well aimlessly wandering. I need a goal to focus on, and this lock seemed interesting and was a reasonable distance from our starting point. It seemed like something achievable, something for the whole crew to work towards. And after 2 days of tunnels, 3-point turns, boat lifts, and locks, we're about to make it. And I'm really hoping that I haven't built this up too much.
This is it. Guys, this is it. We're doing it. We made it.
All right.
And finally, we arrive at a T intersection.
We're straight into the UK's shortest canal.
And then a lock.
And then a lock, which leads us into the next canal.
Got it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So the canal is too short for us to wait for the lock. Yeah, once they come out, we'll head in.
Well, you're not getting water.
No.
And with an intersection comes traffic.
Okay, so we have one boat coming through the lock, one waiting for the lock. We're waiting for it. We have a boat behind us waiting to go in, and a boat coming the other direction also waiting to go in. There's a boat coming out. This is mayhem. Hey guys, are we ready to go? We gotta back up. Now he's gonna go. Looks like this is a busy canal.
Gareth and Helen just went through the stress of a wedding. This is supposed to be their relaxing getaway, and I've never seen such vocal gongoozlers before.
Turn the tiller the other way and go forward.
pull you right
Go forward. Hit it hard.
This is not what Gareth signed up for.
What?
On and off, he said.
On and off.
Hard first, hard.
In fact, one of the gongoozlers has a specific comment about what I should do with this video footage of us trying to take this corner.
All right.
That maneuver, did you?
Yeah, this is it.
I think you should delete it, buddy.
But we've made it.
Thank you for your help.
Sorry, no problem. Thank you.
This is it. We're officially on the Wardle Canal, 154 feet long. This is it. From that entry point to that canal lock. It's only 154 feet long. That was our most stressful experience on the canal so far.
And when he says our most stressful, mainly just mine. Because you were just up there flying the drone, holding the camera.
Yeah, but look at us. This canal suddenly has us bickering with one another. This is supposed to be a relaxing vacation for Gareth and Helen.
What you've got to realise is that people are there to help you, but because it's quite noisy, they end up shouting and it comes across quite aggressive.
Yeah.
So, and you think they're having a go at you, but actually they're just saying it so that you can hear and so you can actually get to where you want to go.
That's a great point.
Unless they were really mad.
They say the Wardle Canal starts at Lock 1 and ends at Lock 1.
Okay, let me quickly tell you about this canal that we've spent 2 days to come see. Then I need to fix this vacation for Gareth and Helen.
So you might ask, why does the Wardle Canal exist if it's so short? It's right between two very popular and two very profitable canals, and they thought they could profit by controlling the connection between the two. So this obviously was the old toll house, and they would weigh the boats, the barges as they came through, charge a hefty fee, and off they would go onto the Shropshire Union or onto the Trent and Mersey, depending on which way they're going.
So, not a very big canal, but definitely an important one. Honestly, as you come through it today, you wouldn't even notice that this is a different canal than the one you were just on.
Do you enjoy the locks?
When they're not this stiff, they're good fun.
Yeah.
But we can't end here. Let's keep cruising and end this episode on a high note, somewhere less stressful.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is weird how it's really chilled out until there's like loads of
7
people,
boats in one
way
go.
too many people trying to give you instructions.
Yeah.
That was really stressful.
That was stressful.
For the first time, we're cruising without a plan. In fact, they say the Shropshire Union Canal is one of the most rural and isolated waterways, often with no towns for miles, which is exactly what Gareth and Helen have come for. Lunch is served!
Oh yeah.
Always a crowd pleaser. Now, Nicole and I are going to give Gareth and Helen a little time together on their mini-moon, which means that Nicole and I actually get to spend some time together too. So often along the canals, your time is focused on steering or other boats or working the locks that even though you're together, you're actually not spending quality time together. The slower-paced Shropshire Union here is finally giving us that time. And without phone service out in the middle of nowhere out here, we're finding some old school ways to entertain ourselves.
There was a piece of glass, Miss Mary sat upon it and broke her little laugh.
Ask me no more questions,
I'll tell you no more lies. The boys are
That reminds me of something I used to do 60 years ago.
They're still doing it, us young hip kids.
Snug as a bug, this one.
Helen, Helen.
You can do it. Helen, take us in. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. You're clear. You're good.
My wife.
But of course, the challenges are never over.
So one thing we're gonna have to keep an eye on is our water level. We've just gone below a quarter. So we're gonna have to start doing the old, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. We gotta find a spot to fill that up soon. I bet you that water point is the black post with the white top. Team springing into action. All right, let's do garbage. Off to dinner.
The canals might just be my new favorite place in the world. And it's not because they're easy, but challenging. And of course, it's always more fun to have good friends along for the ride. So thank you, Gareth and Helen. I hope we didn't ruin your mini-moon. And it seems that our reward tonight is this lovely sunset. And I think after the day we've had, we've earned ourselves a pint at this canal-side pub, where we end our time on the Shropshire Union Canal and head to an even more challenging canal experience. We're headed back to Wales.
Jesus. How are things out here?
We're beached.
All right. The UK has a network of over 2,000 miles of canals, and we've come to Wales to drive a boat across the highest and longest canal aqueduct in the UK.
And there's no railing on this side.
But we didn't know this is also the narrowest canal on the network.
This is a snug canal.
And this week, we're joined by Nicole's university friend Rachel to enjoy the Llangollen Canal for episode 3 of DownieLive Travels by Boat. And it starts here in the small town of Trevor. So we just picked up our boat from Anglo-Welsh Narrowboat Holiday Company. We booked using drifters. Let me introduce you to Fitzroy. So let's take a look on board. As usual, we board at the back of this almost 60-foot long boat and enter bedroom number 1. Behind it is the first bathroom. That's right, there are 2 of these bathrooms, each with a shower. Then further down the hall is the second bedroom, and behind that is the second bathroom. You get it. Finally, we come into the modern and functional kitchen. Great stove, cooktop, little prep area and pantry here. Then we have the living room with 4 comfortable chairs and a wood-burning fireplace in the corner. Personally, I really like the details on the curtains. I love it. And of course, our front deck. So, let's start it up, get on our way.
You are now clear. Well, not on this side.
Bye, guys. So, let's get Fitzroy moving. I love this. The biggest boat we've been on yet, come out being watched by everybody. Gongoozlers. This is our biggest boat rental yet, and as I mentioned in the intro, this is the narrowest canal, which should make things interesting. I mean, we're barely out of the marina and already making a 3-point turn. Tight corner, right as we come out. Alrighty, look at that. This is a big boat. As you can see, the canal is barely wide enough for our boat, let alone if we have to go past anyone. Oh no, oh my gosh.
There's a boat coming, there's a boat coming.
Stick to the right. Wait, I can't go back, I can't go back. We're gonna pull over and let them, oh dear. For some reason, they drive on the left, but when you're boating, you stay to the right.
There's some reasons, because in the rest of the world, like the entire ocean and river, like everywhere else, it's right. So this is a waterway, so they treat it like the way they do all waterways. You pass on the right.
So, sticking to global mariner laws, we're staying as far right as we can. If this is a sign of things to come, this trip could take a long time. So we were told this is the narrowest and busiest canal in the network. I didn't really believe them. We've gone about 30 meters and hi there. This is snug. That was exactly the width of 2 boats. Last week the canal was straight and wide, whereas this week is said to be one of the most challenging canals yet. You got it, Nicole? That's a power stance. You can see how the canal continues to meander along the edge of these mountains, which means the driver, or skipper, is constantly having to pay attention. And if they don't, this happens. We're grounding.
Grounding a little bit.
It's a narrow and shallow canal. We've come aground. Rachel is starting to understand that narrowboating might not be what she imagined.
I'm not going anywhere, I'm beached.
Beached. Road in reverse?
It is like, how would you pass? It's like here, it would be my question.
Oh look, it's so shallow there.
So,
strong wind out here. And with a bigger boat, means it moves a lot more. While Nicole drives, I'm doing research on this section to see if there's any history or landmarks we should know about. I find it funny because Nicole is the one with an actual geography degree, but I tend to be more interested in maps than her. We have warnings coming up. Super narrow parts and blind corners, so they recommend sending someone ahead.
I mean, that's
like pretty perfect, baby. Hold it. Now, while the canal already doesn't feel very wide, it gets down to the width of just 1 boat every time there's a bridge. This is a snug canal. Perfect. Didn't touch the walls. So this is the Llangollen Canal. At least that's how I read it. But I learned the Welsh pronounce the double L's as cla, so it's actually pronounced the Llangollen Canal. All right, this part seems simple enough. Let's let Rachel drive for her first time while I tell you about the canal. The Llangollen here is called one of the UK's most stunning stretches of canal, and I can see why. We're cruising on a boat, winding in and out of forest, along the hillside, passing sheep, and valley views for what is supposed to be a 2-hour trip to our destination this afternoon. However, something tells me it's going to take us slightly longer than that. But that's okay. Nicole has made snacks. And if we didn't think it could get any narrower, it's about to. We have a foot there, and we have 6 inches here. I mean, I could step off she goes, and that's all we get. If there's another boat coming this way, I don't know what you do. So they really weren't kidding when they said this is the narrowest canal, though, are they?
Why did you think they were kidding?
Well, I just didn't think it could get much narrower than the Monmouthshire and Breck, which we did. This portion of the canal narrows so much that it becomes impossible for 2 boats to pass. And because it continuously curves, you can't actually see if there's anyone coming or not. And after we've made it through that section, This blue sign tells us that it gets even narrower again. Channel narrows to 1 boat width for 500 meters. We advise you to send someone to walk ahead to warn of oncoming boats. No passing places. So we've sent Nicole ahead to check.
I feel like that's far, 500 meters.
It is.
There is one, 5 men fishing, but it's up where it widens. And they went by and they offered her a gin and tonic, and she took it, and she sat there and had a gin and tonic with them.
Well, we should go join those guys.
Nice.
Thanks for the tip.
She knows how to live, eh?
She says it's clear, so let's cross our fingers and get going.
I'm up against the wall and I can't get off it. There's no room on this side. They said, oh, you've got to go to Llangollen. It's so pretty. And it is. They didn't say it would be this difficult.
Driving a 60-foot long narrowboat with mere inches on each side is difficult enough. But add in the fact that you have to take corners as well, makes it darn near impossible to do without hitting the side.
I mean, this is so narrow. I basically don't have to steer. Just put the throttle on and we'll just bounce off the walls uphill. Sorry.
Look, now we have an S-curve.
I mean, I don't know how anyone can do this without bumping anything. Like, I feel like I'm driving a school bus down a bowling alley.
That would arguably be easier.
That would be easier. Is this a mini castle?
As we're now seeing more homes, or mini castles, we're clearly approaching the small town of Llangollen, which holds more canal history than I expected. In fact, this concession stand is made from the old stables for the horses that used to pull canal boats.
What's the plan? What do you need?
I'm gonna reverse it in.
We've finally made it to the marina at the end of the canal, and I'm going to attempt to park this 60-foot beast.
Pretty good.
So we opted to stay in the marina tonight because all the moorings seem pretty busy. We want to stay here in Llangollen, which means we have to pay £6 to the marina for us to stay here, but seems fair. Our marina is at the edge of town, and so it's time for our evening walk to see where we've ended up. We've come all this way because this picturesque town is very significant to the canal.
Wow. This town is beautiful.
And yes, this river below us has a lot to do with it. But before I fill you in on that, let's get some groceries and make dinner on board.
All right.
How is the kitchen in terms of functionality?
I'd say it's functional.
Yeah.
The thing that this boat has that the other 2 boats we've been on don't have is a fireplace. So we got some firewood. But first things first, we have to put up the chimney. You see, gonna come out here. All right, let's put my camp skills to the test. Now we can light it. Fire extinguisher right here. Okay, let's see if the wood catches. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're in business. It's burning wood. This is exactly why I love narrowboating. Just a cozy evening on the water in Wales. Smells like fresh wood. But in here it smells like roasting vegetables. Mediterranean dinner? We've had enough of the pubs. Couldn't eat any more deep fried food. Dinner on the water by the fire. We're pretty good.
Tastes better.
The rest of tonight is spent relaxing and catching up with Rachel by the fire, so we'll see you in the morning.
This morning, we're gonna go for a little walk, see where all this water comes from.
There's something integral to the canal up here, which is what we've come to see.
That's where we're going. So this marina is the end of the line. The canal does continue, but there's no spot to turn the boats around. So there's a sign there that says no boat traffic beyond this. But we're gonna see what's up there, because like I said, it's the source of the canal. I hope you can see this weed that's floating in the current this way. This is the only canal with a current.
Most canals are completely level and do not have a current. However, the Llangollen Canal, as you can see, does have a current. The flow is coming from Horseshoe Falls. And to get there is a beautiful walk along the canal. This sign feels a little out of date. Boats now have motors and aren't pulled by horses anymore, right? Well, in fact, here in Llangollen, they do still use the old canal-side stables to keep the horses in. Because
they do horse-drawn tours up to the Horseshoe Falls, just like the horses would have pulled the barges back in the canals in the 1800s.
The boats do not have motors. They're just pulled by horses. In fact, a horse can pull 20 times more weight by canal boat than it could by wagon, because the water floats the weight, and once you get it moving, you just have to kind of continue the momentum. The other benefit of pulling freight by boat is there aren't any hills on the water. Horse-drawn canal boats became the fastest and most efficient way to transport goods, until the steam train was invented and made the canals slow and eventually obsolete. But here in Llangollen, you can still experience a horse-drawn boat ride up the canal. Now, back to finding the source of the canal. I think we're getting close. And here it is, the source of the canal. The River Dee here has a small weir built which helps to divert water into the pump house. Any excess water overflows back into the River Dee, and the pump house manages the amount of water entering the canal, which is why it flows with a slight current.
It used to be done manually with wooden planks. Now it's all digital, but what a beautiful spot. Everything is so green in Wales. Okay, let's go see that aqueduct. You gonna come get me too? Thank you. Onwards to the aqueduct.
Rachel is feeling up to the challenge of taking on the narrow stretch on our way back down.
Back past the sheep again.
Even Nicole and I were narrowboat beginners just 2 weeks ago. And as difficult as this canal is, Rachel is loving it.
Then be prepared to go full gas. Hard that way.
Hard.
Hard. All the way. Now get ready to reverse. Get ready to reverse. You're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit. Reverse. Perfect.
I mean, I feel like that was as good as it could have gone.
That was great.
In less than 24 hours, she's gone from never driving a narrowboat to being the skipper as we start to cross the highest canal aqueduct in the world.
Okay, if you're afraid of heights, just skip ahead. Don't watch this part, because we will be 125 feet up in the air. And there's no railing on this side. Like, wow, it's beautiful.
This is the Pontcysyllte Aqueduct, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the longest canal aqueduct in the UK. The word Pontcysyllte is Welsh for the bridge that connects, but is often called the river in the sky. We are floating in a boat in water that is being held in by a 5-foot deep cast iron trough, suspended 126 feet above the river and held up across 19 arches. Construction was started in 1795 and took 10 years until completion in 1805 and is the highest canal aqueduct in the world. And look at that smile on Rachel's face.
I'm doing really well.
All of our faces.
How cool is this?
I can't believe you're able to drive a boat across this unassisted. This is an experience you can't get anywhere else, and I'm so glad it's still here for us to not just look at, but use.
So just like anywhere else on the canal, it has the tow path for the horses to pull the barges along, but myth has it that kids used to take this bridge to get to school, and if they were crossing at the same time as a horse, they'd have to jump over the railing and hang there and wait for the horse to go past. Was that scary?
I think it's thrilling.
That was great.
Yeah, it was really great.
But now that we've crossed the aqueduct, our experience is not over. Coming around the next corner is the next challenge, one we haven't encountered yet.
Thank you. Perfect, Nicole. Here we go. We have ourselves
a lift bridge.
I haven't done one of these before. There don't seem to be any instructions, but I think it operates just the same as a lock. Cool.
What's it feel like? Smooth?
It's really smooth.
You can see there's a pedestrian bridge behind the lift bridge, where pedestrians can cross at any time. Only cars use the lift bridge, but it's still in our way.
It's a little slower than I expected. It could take a while. Okay, you do some.
I guess that means you're driving, Rachel.
So the rules of these bridges is that they're meant to be kept down for cars and pedestrians, and only when a boat comes through do we operate it, put it up. Once we're through, we put it back down again. Aha. There's a massive counterweight at the end to counter the weight of the bridge, so it goes up pretty easily. Don't let it come down on the boat, Nicole.
And Rachel either loves driving the boat now, or she's just getting smart enough and saying she does, so we do all the cranking.
Would you like a turn unwinding?
Sure. I was kind of expecting you could just let go and it would come down. You actually have to turn it and use force.
How did it go?
Great. Thread the needle.
I like that we all switched every job that we had.
Good job, Rachel. Thank you.
We were only planning to go this far today, but with Rachel being so happy at the tiller, I think we're just gonna keep going.
We're now coming up to the White House Tunnel. It's 174 meters long. Average time at 2 miles per hour should take about 4 minutes. If you go further left, I'll take a peek if there's anyone down there. Oh, just barely. There's another boat coming out. They're just getting into it, but they're just before us.
And that's exactly why you always double check before entering a tunnel.
Yeah, we both stopped. Better that way than not stopping. Yeah. I love the tunnels. I love the aqueducts. I love the canals. I love the boats.
What about me?
I love the drawbridges. And I love the crew.
I know we went through a tunnel last week, but I want to show you that if you go through a tunnel with your GoPro filming a time lapse, it kind of looks like you're traveling at warp speed.
Come out of the Chirk Tunnel. We have a little basin for waiting here, but it's pretty much one-way traffic through the tunnel and onto the aqueduct. Hi guys. Hello.
Enjoy your trip. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
It's no wonder this is one of the busiest canals in the system. Now, there's so much to see, but the most interesting part about the Chirk Aqueduct is that it crosses into another country.
Look at that, we've just gone from Wales to England. All right, that was the Chirk Aqueduct.
And honestly, the English section of this canal feels very different from the Welsh side. The canal is now wider and straighter, and we've come across our first locks on this canal.
You're doing it.
It's never long before we're back into the action here on the canal. But of course, that being said, it's also not long until you're back out and cruising and relaxing on these calm waterways. This part of the canal passes less through forest and more through open agricultural areas, which, as a fan of cows and sheep, I love.
And their fleece was as white as snow. I don't know if I've ever seen a black sheep before.
But there is one final piece of architectural design that I find fascinating, while most boaters won't even notice it.
We're gonna see if we can do this in one shot. So, the old days, horses pulled the barges, as I've explained, and in this situation, I will be the horse and I will attempt to pull this boat. We've already got a little bit of momentum. But what happens when you need to change the tow path from one side of the canal to the other side is they have this subtle but really unique piece of architecture. This bridge, normally you would continue down there, which then you would have to disconnect the rope and reattach it. But this spirals back to the same side it was on. Our rope is still attached. I guess you step over it. And there we go. And now the horse can continue pulling the boat through without having to unhook. Here we go. Pretty cool little piece of engineering. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming of me on the boat.
So to end the day, we made dinner, I did dishes, and then...
Jesus. How are things out here?
We're beached. Right in the middle, too.
Wow, you're not near the edge at all. Getting our beaching pole. We haven't had to use this one yet. All right, you ready to give it a little juice, give it a little gas?
Forward.
Oh, it's really soft. It's just going into the sand. There we go. Yes, give it the juice.
Yeah, I think Rachel's still enjoying this.
Nothing a little power can't fix.
Finally, Rachel's had her fill for the day, so now it's my turn for the final challenge, and maybe the most important part of the day, finding the perfect parking spot. The ladies have decided to go for an evening walk along the canal, so it's a solo job for me.
Could park here with all the boats. There's a cow's field up ahead. You know where I want to be. I feel like I'm looking for a parking spot outside of the stadium on game day. I've never seen it so full. Oh my gosh, look at this. Hi. Hi. You guys know of any parking spots? Ladies? Parking anywhere nearby? Got a spot? Friends? Very friendly people here. Great neighbors, great neighbors.
Sometimes the toughest decision of the day is deciding where you're going to spend the night.
I think we found a spot. We'll just park up here. We'll take the last spot. We'll take it right at the end. What a day! What a day!
Canal life is constantly full of challenges and adventures, but it's all at your own pace. Rachel picked it up in no time flat, and it's days like we just had that make these trips so rewarding. That's not going anywhere. Whew, long day. I think we got it. Close to town, with reception, next to a cow field. We'll see you in the morning. Actually, let's head to Sowerby Bridge for this. The Toole Lane Lock is the deepest canal lock in the UK, and we're going to go through it, but we're starting 500 meters away in Sowerby Bridge. Welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat. We booked with drifters, and we're renting from Shire cruisers. Now, the deepest lock has hours of operation, but it's already closed for the day. So we'll spend the night on board our vessel, Suffolk here. Our 57-foot narrowboat. I like the three-tone paint job, red, white, dark blue, and light blue, 4 colors. Comes with a great big steering area, bench back here so Nicole and I can sit in the sun and enjoy the ride. Then it comes into the bedroom. Pardon our luggage at the moment. Because we don't have anyone else joining us on the boat this week, it's just a 1-bedroom. Next, we have a really big bathroom. Then we come into the cozy kitchen. This feels like a little cabin. I love it. I love it. We have a great big lounge area, and Nicole's out there already relaxing on the front. It's not the biggest boat we've had, it's not the newest boat we've had, but it's our boat for the next 3 days. But the deepest lock isn't the only interesting thing about the locks around here. And so I guess the next question is, where are we? And the answer is Sowerby Bridge. And Sowerby Bridge is important because it's where 2 canals connect. The problem is different companies built the 2 canals, and so their locks weren't the same size, which is why Sowerby Bridge is so important. With the Rochdale Canal having 72-foot locks and the Calder and Hebble Navigation having 57-foot locks, the Sowerby Basin became integral for offloading cargo and then loading them onto smaller boats to continue. And so all of these warehouses are over 200 years old, and Sowerby, the town itself, had a big textile industry here. So this really became a hub connecting the 2 canals. Well, that is until the train came in. Now that we're settled in, feels like dinner time. I call this supporting local business. Nicole says I'm lazy. Dinner is served. Whoa. That's a yellow dinner.
Woo!
Now, as you can tell, there's no table here, but there will be. All right. So, we're spending the night here in the basin while we await the deepest lock to reopen in the morning. After 3 weeks on narrowboats, we're pretty used to our morning routine. Nicole and I split up the duties and managed to get up and set out in about 15 minutes or so. Alrighty. And this morning, we need to be on time. Not sure if it's gonna be sunny or cloudy, but either way, sunscreen first. So we're pulling out of the basin and turning right onto the Rochdale Canal, where there are some interesting boats. Some of these boats look a little different. Looks like an old survival boat you'd have if your cruise ship was sinking. We're here picking up Brian from our boat rental company. Good morning, Brian. He's here to help guide us through the locks as they require a little more awareness than most others.
So you're gonna need your handcuff key.
Okay. The nice thing is, if you come on your own boat, there may be Canal and River Trust volunteers here to help out as well. Why do we need the Canal and River Trust volunteers to guide us through these locks?
Well, this lock you don't, you can do it yourself, there's no problem with that, and the next lock up you can do yourself. But then when you get to Jewel Lock, that's the deepest lock in the country, and that means it's got to be manned by one of our members of staff or a volunteer.
Is it a lot more dangerous?
Not necessarily dangerous, no, it's just much deeper, so the risks are greater. Vast amount of water comes through the lock when you empty it, so it can only be emptied at a certain pace. If you empty it too quick, it can cause problems lower down in these locks.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The deepest lock is only 100 meters away, but before we can get there, we have to go through Toole Lane locks 1 and 2. And it's a busy morning so far with some friendly characters. Jim. Hi. Hi. You friendly people here at the locks. And dogs. So Brian and I are going to get the gates open and let Nicole into the lock. And right away, you can see this is a double wide lock, meaning it's the width of 2 boats instead of just 1, and she's quite a ways down. And for the first time in my narrowboating experience, we're being told to tie off in the lock, so your boat doesn't bang around as the lock is filling. Great throw! But there are a couple other unique tricks to these locks that I didn't know about before.
Now this lock is so big that it has what's called a stay bar. So once you get in place, pull this down and it'll leave it.
As usual, these locks take about 10 to 15 minutes to fill with water. All right, don't forget to lock the lock before you leave it. Now, just one last lock to go through before we get to the deepest lock.
Lock 2 might be the prettiest, right under a church and going straight into a tunnel.
Now, as you can see, Nicole is driving while I get to crank the locks. I figure get my exercise for the day out of the way early. Honestly though, these are the biggest gates we've seen yet on this trip, but they're not difficult to open. Canal boating is made so that anyone can operate the locks. Which brings us out to the second lock.
These first 2 locks are already the deepest we've seen yet. How much deeper can the next one be?
Deep locks mean lots of water. You can see as the water swirls around how it can easily bash your boat against the walls, or worse, if your boat comes forward, it can get flooded. But that's why we have Brian, to make sure we're operating these large locks safely.
Because these locks are so deep, we tie Nicole up to the bollards inside the lock because there's so much rough water coming in that the boat would be bouncing around wall to wall. Okay, so because the next lock is the big lock and it's through the tunnel, we can't see it. And we also can't go in because boats need to come out and the tunnel is tight. So we have this pound of weight in. And Paul, who you met a second ago, the volunteer, will turn the tunnel lights on to signal to us it's time to go through. And another thing we'll notice is it will be emptying so much water that we'll see a current coming out of the tunnel and the water level in the pound here will begin to rise. We could be waiting out here a little while because Brian says the lock we're going to is twice as deep as the one we're just in, so we have to wait for them to fill that up and empty it. So we could be here a little while.
You'll have to ask our gaffer if he wants this for a training video.
Yeah. You see how low the water level is right now. I see some ripples coming out. The leaves are moving. I can hear the sound of it echoing through the tunnel. Tunnel lights just came on. Yeah. So apparently these 3 locks used to be 4 and they went into disrepair. And in fact, the big lock that we're going into used to be the 4th, and the 3rd one used to be where this tunnel was. And when they built the road, they just kind of filled it in. And then when they wanted to get the locks up and running again, well, they had this filled in lock. They just tunneled through it and made the 4th one deeper, which is why it's so deep. And apparently, inside the tunnel, you can still see the markings of where that 3rd lock used to be.
At street level, you'd never know there's a canal that passes under your feet right here. But that's the interesting part to me. Tool Lane Lock is almost unnoticeable from street level, whereas when it was the main way to transport freight and cargo in the late 1700s and early 1800s, it would have been an important part of town.
Most of these cars have no idea they're driving on top of a canal right now. And this tunnel was only made in 1996. Were these the old paddle spots?
Yeah.
For the lock?
That's
oh, right. There's a beam right there.
Used to be another lock in here.
Oh wow, this goes right into it. Oh my God!
And to the moment we've all been waiting for. Welcome to Tool Lane Lock, the deepest lock in the United Kingdom.
Oh my gosh, this is huge!
Even though it's one lock, it's still technically called locks 3 and 4.
So you can tell this lock is new. I mean, these are concrete walls. These are not stone walls like you see in the other locks. And you can't even see the top. Look at them close the gates. It's like Jurassic Park.
And so it begins. Now, just like the last 2 locks, we need to tie our boat to the side so it doesn't bash around, but the walls are too high to throw a rope up top.
So because we can't throw a rope up top, they have these cables here. Tie the rope around it, and now we can hold ourselves against the wall. What an impressive feat of engineering. I mean, sure, it takes twice as long as a normal lock, but it's doing the work of 2 locks. And I see now why they have volunteers that have to run it. And that's why when we arrived late last night, we weren't able to come through this on our own.
As you can see, we're currently at the bottom of the lock, almost 20 feet deep. Now, just for reference, a double-decker bus isn't even that tall. Also, I'm at the front holding the rope to the wall, and Nicole is at the stern with Brian. And that's because you can't operate this lock yourself. It's operated only by CRT volunteers and takes much longer than a regular lock to fill.
He just said it takes 20 to 30 minutes to fill. Higher up you get, the bigger they can open the gates, so then the faster you go. So we should start to go a little faster here shortly.
And for those of you that like numbers, the lock uses about 130,000 gallons of water to fill it.
What's amazing is we're in this concrete canyon, and there's a main street right next to us. Just gone under that tunnel, underneath the big street. We passed underneath the church, and I'm not sure where we're gonna end up yet. That was impressive. That was fun.
Having just seen so much water get used for a single lock, you have to wonder, are water levels ever an issue in the canal? Well, we don't know it yet, but we're about to find out just how precious water is to the canals, and what happens if there's not enough.
Braved the deepest lock in Britain. Thank you, Richard.
Our new friend Brian will walk back to the rental shop, while Nicole and I head on alone. Along the edge of the canal are old textile warehouses that likely would have loaded cargo into boats right here. But the heritage of the town is beautifully mixed with the greenery along the canal.
These are either apartments or offices now, but I wonder what they were originally. Hi. But very quickly the scene changes from industrial to beautiful.
In fact, it's not long before we're out of town completely.
I think what I love most about the canal, not just driving a long boat, which is really cool, but it's the mix of industry, history, and nature that you get on this adventure. This self-guided, self-paced adventure.
As I putter along here, I'm realizing that this is the final canal of this trip. So I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
This will never get old.
And whether it's the stone tunnels along the way, or the green tunnels made by the tree canopies, this is an outstanding canal. So far.
So the Rochdale Canal is a relatively short canal and averages about 3 locks per mile.
I'm trying to take in this final experience as much as I can, and one of the little bits of history I learned about was that this was one of the last surviving canals. But if you've ever seen one of my videos before, you know things never go this smoothly for very long. Water is the most important element of the canals. Without water, well, boats don't float. So, canal engineers would build reservoirs and pump systems to keep the canals flowing in the hot and dry summer months when water levels drop. But even more importantly, was containing the water they already had. Of course, people like to gather around water, so the canals have brought a lot of benefits to the communities along them.
Seem to be a lot of Canadians out here enjoying it.
The most critical part of containing water on the canals are the locks. And it's my turn again to open this one up. And it seems there's another boat in the lock ahead of us, so I'm gonna help out.
Is this your first time? It's my 4th. Yeah, I've been doing 4 boats over 4 weeks, so this is our last one. It's always good to have the extra hand to help with the locks.
Yeah, it turns out it's a couple of lovely ladies narrowboating for their first time.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I'm happy to lend a helping hand to get them on their way. Let's face it, the sooner they're out, the sooner we can get Nicole in. But as I'm cranking all these paddles open and closed, I'm realizing that doing a double lock by yourself is a lot of work. Open the gate, cross over to the other side, crank the paddle closed. Then I have to push and close the gate, then walk to the front. But before I start cranking open the front paddles to let the water in, I'm noticing that the gates are letting in a lot of water already. And someone mentioned to me earlier that a boat crashed into a gate and caused it to leak, and I wonder if it's this one. Either way, it'll help us fill up the lock faster, and hopefully there aren't any consequences up ahead that I'm not thinking of.
Did you get back on?
The level looks very low. They've got stuff. The water level, if you look at the banking, it's very down.
Yeah.
So you might have to just stick near the middle at
Stick to the middle. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Oh look, our new narrowboating friends are already beached. No problem, I've dealt with this plenty of times so far.
If you go full speed reverse, and I'll push off your nose. Nicole, give it the beans. Make a wake. There we go. All right, you're free.
All right, I'm gonna go jump back on board with, oh no, maybe they're not free yet.
Okay, I'll end up driving them. Not quite. I guess I shouldn't ask Nicole to come to the shallow edge to pick me up. I'll just walk along the towpath.
It's really shallow. Can you let me through first?
Oh, I should have just kept walking. This water level is the lowest we've ever encountered, but Nicole's got this.
Ooh, they really should put signs up.
Oh, now they're beached.
Oh.
I don't think we can go back and help them without getting stuck ourselves. I hate to leave them, but all we can do is keep it down the middle and keep moving forward. You can see how low the water level is. I mean, it's got to get better after this tunnel.
Oh God, it's a stinky tunnel.
The tunnel is tough enough as it is, let alone a big right-hand corner. Whoa. Shallow, shallow.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I feel like my work here is done. Any more locks?
I don't know, you can check the book. That's tunnel 14. Are you feeling that? This is shallower than last week. These boats are designed that scraping along the bottom shouldn't dent the propeller, but I'm starting to get pretty worried about damaging this narrowboat, or worse, getting stuck here. We can't keep doing this. We have to come up with a new plan. I feel like this, if there was a spot to turn around, this might be the end of the line for us. Water normally flows into this drain, and that's almost 2 feet below. I mean, this boat is 3.5 feet deep, and the canal's normally 4 feet deep, so it'll be down a foot.
How would I go to the front?
I don't think you're heavy enough to balance us.
Maybe you should go to the front.
Like we're literally in the middle of the canal right now, as centered as we can be, and we're beached. I could go to the front and try and counterbalance, but how far do we really think we can go?
Well, we at least have to go far enough to turn around.
Or we'll just start backing up and pull it along the towpath.
Through the tunnel?
Leg it through the tunnel.
1,000% no. That's incredibly dangerous. I'm not doing that through the tunnel.
We're gonna beach ourselves. We're just gonna get stuck here. We're not gonna be able to do anything.
Every other boat has been able to go that far.
Or they're stuck here. We don't know if there's anyone else.
Well, why would they have sent us to Hebden Bridge? Oh, lovely place to go, lovely place to go. If we weren't able to go there.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, no chance that rental place was like, oh, by the way, if you get beached, leg it back to the tunnel. That's dangerous. It's irresponsible.
Just seems like the other option is getting stuck further up.
But how is every other boat able to get through?
We don't know if they have. We don't know if they.
So where are they? Where did they turn around?
I don't know.
If you put that out on YouTube, the boat companies will be in trouble, probably.
This is the first time we've disagreed on this trip. Through all the other challenges the canals have thrown at us, we've worked together, whether it was learning how to drive a narrowboat and pushing ourselves out of the mud on day one, or boating in inclement weather, or pulling a strap out from our propeller, pulling in a stray boat in the rain, or being yelled at by gongoozlers, navigating the narrowest canals, or knocking into hidden obstacles underwater, or here, struggling against a leaky lock. But all of it so far has been worth it, from cruising through the pristine Welsh countryside, being greeted by animals canalside, enjoying a rainbow at sunset, or joining a boat parade on the Queen's Jubilee, and being welcomed into homes by friendly locals. Of course, we were joined by friends along the way. What a toast! And helped by interesting Canal and River Trust volunteers, and learned about some very specific and unique facts along the way, but also got to go through and across some epic architecture and engineering marvels before ending the day by a wood-burning fire.
The canals are not perfect, but that's why they're worthwhile. Life is better with challenges, and challenges are best overcome together.
Well, I mean, we have to at least try.
Yeah, I'm as far forward as I can be. Seems to be working. Oh, a lot of scraping sounds at the bottom.
Well, at least we can see our new friends made it out okay.
The liveaboards want us to get ahead so we can get to the next lock and let some more water through to this area. Look at this, this boat is completely beached at the side. It's too bad, I love the look of that one. That like rusty patina, it's very cool. This is a lot like the original barges they would have had come through here probably. There's the next lock. Right there. If we make it here, we make it. You don't have me to counterbalance the boat anymore. You good? We made it to the lock. Hopefully the next section's better. We've heard mixed messages. We've heard someone say it's better and someone else say it's worse. Well, we'll find out soon enough.
Dave, you're so brave.
All right. So far, so good. Water level looks a lot better up here.
It's not worth quitting over a small rough patch. Even if today is a little bit more work and more stress than usual on the canals, cruising through here, where it's so quiet and calm, just makes it all wash away so quickly.
Well, we should find a place to moor, really.
Mike, did it not work to put you in the front? My big beefy boy.
It did work. Guess I'm heavier than I thought.
No, you're exactly as heavy as we thought.
These canals are almost 200 years old. They're not perfect, but that's what makes them amazing. All the challenges that you encounter along the way on your narrowboating journey are what add to the adventure. While the calm cruising is what we enjoy in the moment here, the difficult moments are what we'll talk about when we get home, and likely be what brings us back again next year. This is exactly why I love narrowboating. Adventurous days with relaxing nights in new places.
You made it! Long day. For your first time on a narrowboat, you went through a tough spot.
I'm so bagged from today. Is it okay if we just order in again?
Unacceptable! We will rally and go out.
I already know you feel the same way.
Yeah. You don't pretend to know what I want.
I mean, no offense, Hebden Bridge, but you never would have been on my normal tourism list. But here we are, and I'm glad we're here. But this isn't it, because the next challenge I'm taking on is the longest canal tunnel on the entire network of canals. So we're headed to the town of Standedge.
And we finally made it to see one of the 7 wonders of the waterways. This is the deepest and longest canal tunnel in the United Kingdom.
This tunnel isn't like any other. It's an interesting marvel of the canals.
Welcome to the Standedge Tunnel. Who better to take us through than the Canal and River Trust themselves? Life jacket and a high-vis vest. Now we're getting serious.
Starting in West Yorkshire at the foot of the famous Pennines Hills, we're going underground.
Oh, here's our ride.
This interesting vessel is specially designed to safely take us into the tunnel. Since the tunnel is so tight, this boat is built differently than a normal narrowboat.
So it has bow thrusters.
Starting with the fact that it's electric.
So you have propeller at the front and the back, and they can be set forwards, backwards, and side to side. This is like an extra trailer that it pulls almost.
This is the power unit. The batteries are under here. So there's 36 traction batteries, 2 volts to cell, the 1,400 amp hours, so wow. Plenty of power, because we used to tow boats through the tunnel with this system. And there's one big row there, and
another matching row there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so no diesel exhaust, and it's quieter.
That's right, yeah, it's great. And environmentally friendly as well.
Environmentally friendly, of course.
Yeah.
Before we can go into the tunnel, we need to make sure we have the appropriate safety procedures in place.
a gas monitor, so it monitors carbon monoxide fumes in case there's a fire or anything like that, or diesel engines. It also monitors oxygen levels. Obviously if the oxygen levels drop, we need to get out of there because something else is replacing the oxygen. It does hydrogen sulfide, because you get hydrogen sulfide in there. It's not in large quantities, but and then combined explosive gases, that's for methane and the like. So,
wow.
So yeah, so it keeps an eye on things for us. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good. So we're not bringing a canary with us.
No,
We've got
it's electronic.
The modern canary. There you go. This is Trevor. You've written a book on the tunnel.
That's right, yeah.
So you're one of the resident experts here. Before we enter, let's get some basics out of the way. Why was it built?
Yeah, so there were 3 competing canals being built at the same time.
To cross the Pennines.
To cross the Pennines, yes.
The 3 options to get across the Pennines are to either build a lot of locks, taking boats up and over, which would take cargo vessels a very long time to cross, or they can meander their way around the Pennines, also taking a long time. Or the third option, and the fastest, is for vessels to pass through a very long tunnel under the Pennines, which is what the Standedge Tunnel did.
This is the shortest route, but it does entail digging a 3¼ mile tunnel, unfortunately. But it is the shortest route, but the tunnel proved to be a little bit of a difficulty.
Right.
Yeah.
This canal tunnel was the first tunnel built here, opening in 1811, but 3 train tunnels have been built since. So now there are 4 tunnels.
That's the canal tunnel.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 2 dead bore tunnels on the left, the disused rail tunnels, and the live tunnel on the right. And there's loads of connecting passageways. There's about 30 odd of these. So in the disused rail tunnel, we have a van driving through, keeping pace with us. So we'll give him a wave at various points. If you see a smiley face, it's not a ghost, it's our shadow. So, and then the shafts going up to the surface as well,
right?
Every so often as well. But they're quite wet. You'll see them when we come on through them. The reason there's 3 rail tunnels, they built that one first, 1848. Yeah. Well, 1849, the date's wrong on that. Then that's only single track. So they opened the second one for going, so you had one for each way then.
Right.
And then they opened the double track tunnel because the line was getting busier and busier, and the freight trains were holding up the passenger trains because they were so heavy and slow. So that way they had 2 tracks for freight train and 2 tracks for passenger travel.
The tunnel is about 3¼ miles in length.
Wow.
It's roughly 620 feet above sea level at this point, and at the deepest point it's about the same below ground.
Wow.
The shafts, some of the shafts go down to about 500 feet below ground. Obviously they didn't dig them at the deepest places.
So for our safety, the Canal and River Trust has a van going through on one of the disused rail tracks to monitor our progress, to make sure we're hitting all the checkpoints and getting through.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor.
These are PIR sensors in the railway tunnel that Alistair will be driving through. And these are PIR sensors in the canal tunnel. It's a sensor, so it knows when you're there and the light will come on.
Ah.
So when Alistair gets there, that light will come on, and when you get there, that light will come on.
So we can communicate and you can see us visually with lights as to our progress.
Yes.
So we're safe.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, let's board. You run tours through here.
We do, yeah. We do short trips into the tunnel with a guide on board telling you about the history as you go.
So you've got a skylight and seats for people to be inside so they can be protected if it's dripping.
Yeah, and with that you can see the roof as well. So when we're hoping to reintroduce the through trips like what we're doing for you today, and when we do that you can see everything through the windows and that, because the lights outside show it all up beautifully. So radio check.
Radio check, Rick.
Radio check.
We're a little close. It's good to be this close. This is why we check. We're off into the Standedge.
Longest, highest and deepest canal tunnel in Britain. Wow. We're only beaten by 2 in the world. So for doing this trip, we have to have a qualified boatmaster on board, which is me. So I'm the boss for this trip. So get worried now.
Oh dear. So we have 2 bright lights leading the way. We have lights down the side of the boat so viewers can see out the side.
Every so often in the roof there's a plate with a number on, and they tell you where you are in the tunnel. The legging plates, because when obviously they didn't have motors like we do,
right,
or engines, so they had to use the feet against the wall.
Yeah.
Laying on they lay on the boat with one person with the feet out one side, one person with the feet out the other, and they walk along the walls to push it through.
Wow.
So the legging plates, there's one just coming up. Because you were laid on your back, you could see them. There it is.
Oh.
They count down as we go and give you an idea of how far you've got to go. This will not talk to outside world now.
Right.
It's still useful to have it with us, because if the shadow's close by, we can speak to the shadow on this.
Okay.
So the man in the van following us through.
Right. Which is not normally something you want, a man in a van following you, but in this case, it's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah.
They call him the Shadow.
Yes.
And
just to say,
we can't see the end. It goes into darkness.
It's because when they built it, they dug from both ends and they sank shafts down, but they got the alignment slightly wrong. So in the middle, with a big S-bend to go around, because they missed. They're 26 feet out of the centre.
They were 26 feet apart when they were tunneling towards each other, so they did an S-turn to connect it. These old stones here from 1794. So this is original tunnel.
Yeah.
And there are certain parts that have been restored or reinforced.
Yeah, like there's a brickwork there. Yeah, these brick arches were put in to strengthen the tunnel. They were done again in the 1890s when they built the double track railway tunnel, but it wasn't bricked up all the way through, just because you can imagine it saves a bit of money. Brick a bit, miss a bit, brick a bit, miss a bit. This gives the strength that's needed, but costs less. So it was a Yorkshireman. Deep pockets deeper than your hands, you see.
Right.
You can't reach the money.
Smart. Some say cheap, others say smart. That's good.
Yeah.
Why is this bit so wet?
So this is pool shaft. So what this is it's one of the access shafts what they used to build the tunnel. Now it's used for ventilation.
Okay.
So what it is you'll see shortly, I think the pool's about 512 feet deep. So the water is coming down through the hills, and then naturally it's just draining into here.
Right. So they used it to build it, and they would pass material down or up, and now it's a ventilation shaft. Oh, clever. You got absolutely drenched out here. Look at that. I mean, you think you're protected from the weather.
It's so nice on a day like this.
On a hot summer day.
So private boats today, we have to measure them up to make sure they'll fit before we set off.
This is the narrowest bit right here.
Yes.
We're like 2 inches and 3 inches.
Yeah. At one point it's about 6 months.
We've now been in the tunnel for about 20 minutes and I still can't see the end. I'm starting to think about how long 3 miles actually is. Now, with modern electric boats, this is comfortable and easy, but I couldn't imagine legging a fully loaded narrowboat through.
You see on the right hand side there, it says 6 + 48, and then underneath it says sorry, because they measured wrong there. Up until that point, they measured every 10 metres. There, they measured 8 metres instead of 10. So it says sorry underneath.
So instead of 6 + 50, it's 6 + 48.
Yeah.
Let's go take a quick peek and see how far in we are.
Yeah.
So apparently we're 650 feet in. And here we go. You can see a little bit of the light where we came in, but when you look forward, you still can't see where we're going. What's your favorite part of the tunnel?
I would say the central section is the most interesting. It has the largest of 3 wides in it. It also has the famous S-bend. Yeah, not to mention the tightest place of all in the whole of the tunnel. So
it has the widest, the windiest, and the tightest.
Yeah, that's all in the central section. Yeah.
All right. So you like all the action? I gotta try.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you guiding boats through, that is the bit with the interest.
It's the exciting bit.
Yeah.
So, how do you drive this thing anyways?
So this is where the skill of driving this comes into play, because you're having to like do little mini corrections
constantly,
but I'm responding to what I can hear and feel from the back.
It's a little joystick that controls the angle of the front propellers so you can keep the boat from bouncing off the side of the walls. It's a pretty clever little system with little arrows to show you where you're heading. And I'm being given the chance to drive.
Now, this is going to be trickier with it being slower.
We're coming up to a narrow point.
That's it.
I never expected I'd get to drive an electric boat through the longest tunnel, the longest canal tunnel in the UK.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's a one-handed job.
Hey, it's like 2 on your own.
I've been practicing for 4 weeks on 4 different boats for this. I'll let you take it back. Thanks so much. That was great. And so this is original just rock from the mountain.
Yeah.
So we're coming up under original rock from the mountain. No reinforcement here.
It's beautiful. It's loads of bare rock. It's gorgeous to see different shapes and colours. It changes all the way as well. You can see geologists love it.
I have to say, when I was told it would be 2 hours in a tunnel, I expected it to all look the same, not segment after segment of changing scenery in here, really.
That's it. It's brilliant.
That's from the man they call the Shadow.
That's it. That's the one.
Now, this opening in the tunnel is one of the connecting shafts between the canal and train tunnels. But for us, it's a safety stop to reconnect with the base and let them know we're okay. This is incredible. And so that right there is the disused railway tracks, the old one, the single use.
Yeah, single spar.
And then somewhere over there, running alongside, is the double track. All right.
Rick, this is the trip boat departing 32.
Okay, received. I'll talk to Alistair when you get to 24, over.
Roger. That's it. Back on the boat. We keep going along. That's our checkpoint check-in. This looks like a modern art museum.
Yeah.
That you'd be in.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah. This bit's quite wet, what we're coming up to now. Right. This is another one of the shafts right up to the surface.
So, Luke, you're good out here on your own?
I don't know yet.
Well, we'll be right behind you. Well done, Luke. I'm impressed.
So you see with this as well, the geology of the mountain is that if you see where the striation marks are coming down, when you get to the middle of the tunnel, you start to see them.
They go down
the other side.
Wow! So you know at that point you've reached the middle.
Sort of like the sort of like the generic middle of the tunnel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this big piece of rock came off really cleanly. All right, I was with you on that one. This gets knocked regularly by boats.
Yeah. Blue and red.
Yeah. It looks like prehistoric paintings, but it's just modern boats going through.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Wow. If you're into geology, a tour of this tunnel should definitely be added to your bucket list. It's fascinating.
How deep is it? It's deeper than me because I've fallen in and couldn't touch the bottom. So yeah, that's the way I found out. So,
Deep enough.
The reason it's so deep is it's used as a reservoir for feeding the locks either side. Because when you fill a lock up with water to get a boat up, it uses a lot of water from here. So if there's a lot of boat traffic, you're using a lot of water all at once. But this bit is beautiful. You see the layers on it. It had a river delta. It opened up wide. So it slowed down, so whatever it was carrying, it deposited layer upon layer, and these are all the layers that you can see.
You can clearly see the layers, like you said, like tiger stripes.
Yeah.
It's just mesmerizing, though,
isn't it? It absolutely is. I love it. I always do. I don't know what it is, but I always get excited when I come in here.
Who knew a dark tunnel could be so beautiful?
Yeah, that's it.
So we're supposed to meet the Shadow here. if he really exists. This is another connecting shaft. And so that's the support vehicle, the Shadow that's following us along, making sure we're meeting these checkpoints and safe just in case anything goes wrong. But
He's there. We're here. We're gonna keep going.
We found a duck in here once.
Really?
Yes, oh yeah. We walked it up. And I tried to catch it. I was a bit worried about it, so I tried to catch it, but it swam off and just went toward Diggle quite happily. So we've not seen it since, so it must have come out happily.
Wow.
Made it out.
A duck wandered in this far.
We're just approaching the tightest place in the tunnel, which leads directly into the S-bend, where the final junction was made when they were digging the tunnel.
After this, we can safely say I've driven you around the bend.
Here's the S to the left. They had crews digging the tunnel from both ends, but when they met here in the middle, they were off by 26 feet. So they had to build this S-bend to connect the two directions and complete the Standedge Tunnel. Now we've been in here for an hour, and this is the most significant part of the tunnel.
It's about the deepest point below ground, where the boundary is now between Greater Manchester and West Yorkshire.
So how deep is it?
It'll be over 600 feet below ground here.
That's pretty deep.
So you know, roughly as far below ground as you are above sea level.
And so this is also the highest canal tunnel in the UK?
This is the highest water level on the canal system in the UK, yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is the highest point on the canal system in the UK.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. So you go up a lock through here, and this is... Isn't that mind-blowing that you're at the deepest point underground and the highest point in the entire canal system? There are so many facts about this tunnel that make it so interesting. But the most interesting parts to me are the different types of stone, brick, concrete, and rock that line the tunnel. And with the perfectly still water below, it is visually mesmerizing. But I wonder how dark it actually is in here without the lights. So we are going to turn the lights off for a second and see how dark it is. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, you can't see anything.
Amazing, isn't it? Quiet. Really quiet.
Wow. That's like a sensory deprivation tank almost down here.
It is, isn't it?
Now, surely we're getting close to the other side by now. There it is! Barely! But that exit is still a very long way away. There it is. And this is an opening into the railway tunnel next to us. So right there is where the live trains pass by. You have to time it just right, and you could see them, but we're not going to wait around. And on the left is another shaft that lets water flow into the canal.
Oh, easy.
Half an hour left?
It's about half an hour in.
You can make your own jokes about the light at the end of the tunnel, but who knew being underground would be so beautiful? Right, so how did they work the one-way system?
A young lad called Thomas Bourne used to look after it. He was only 12 when he got the job.
12 years old?
Yeah, 12-year-old. And he'd start work at something like 5 o'clock in the morning as well. Imagine trying to get a 12-year-old up at 5 in the morning. That wouldn't happen nowadays, would it? But, so he'd start work, he'd collect the toll money from the boats that were waiting at Marsden End. He lived at Marsden. Say there were 10 boats, for instance. They'd set off legging the tunnel. He'd then close the gates behind them, so anyone else coming had to wait the next turn to go through. He'd walk their horses up over the top while they were legging the tunnel, so he'd be over the top waiting for them at the other end. What he'd do, he'd let some more in the other end. He'd know they were all out safely because all the horses would be claimed. He wouldn't need to remember how many were going through because obviously they'd claim the horses when they came out, so any horses left over, he knew there were still boats coming through the tunnel. And then so he'd walk back, and that was his morning's work. Then in the afternoon he'd do exactly the same, there and back. So 4 times a day across the moors in all weather conditions, every day. The only day off he'd have would be Christmas Day, or if the canal was closed for any reason, which sometimes it was, you know, maintenance, or if it frozen over or whatever, you know, things like that. He did it for 37 years. So
from 12 to 49. That's a career.
A lot of walking, yeah.
So this part here is the end of the original tunnel.
That's right.
But it's been extended another 200 meters or so to help the train get across, as well as there's a station on this side. They needed to add some land, so it
Had to tunnel further. It's like a mirage in the distance. I don't know if my eyes are ready for sunlight again. How long have we been in here? We've been in 2.5 hours. Here we come. Daylight once again. I have enjoyed every minute in the Standedge Tunnel, but as we approach the exit, I have to admit I'm looking forward to seeing the sun again. So, why don't we head to our next canal challenge? Behind me is the longest consecutive locks in the UK. And today, 200 years after it was built, we're going to take a boat through it. Still a long way to go. But most importantly, this is the steepest flight of locks in the country. And today we're going to attempt to complete it. And so I've booked a boat using drifters.co.uk here at Fox Hangers, just outside of Devizes, and this is our beauty. It is the largest boat I've ever rented. It is 66.5 feet long. It is also a platinum class, which means it's up there with the nicest of the boats I've rented. I'm going to give you a full tour of the boat, but we're actually going to get going here first because we've got to get into the locks before 2 o'clock so that we can get out of them and complete them before sundown. So let's get started. But I'm not taking on this challenge alone. I've brought my friend Gareth.
Hi.
And his friends Ed, who is completely inexperienced.
Completely new, left the rope behind already.
But oh, when you unhooked at the front. And Jamie.
Oh, I'm so grateful we have a bow thrust there all of a sudden.
Here we go, into our first of 29 locks. It's going to be a long day. I guess the question is, why do we do this? If we've got to go through 29 locks, it seems like a lot of work, but this is the speed at which we're going at. It's really just an excuse to get out on the water in the countryside. So, as we enter our first lock of 29, the question is, what is a lock? Well, boats aren't very good at going up or down hills. They prefer floating on calm, level waters like we are now. And locks help boats go up and down hills while keeping level. In our case here, we're trying to go uphill. So Gareth is entering the empty lock from the low side and will then close the gate behind him. Gareth, is it all coming back to you?
Yeah.
Now Jamie and Ed are going to crank the levers to open the paddles at the top gate, which will slowly let water into our lock and float our boat up about 8 to 10 feet to match the height of the canal above. So far so good for our first lock, just 28 more to go. And then we simply open the gate and cruise on out. Now the gates are open, ready to go. Of course, now we have to do that another 28 times. Now the problem is, he's on the boat, we're not. So he's gonna pull over there, which means we've got to walk around over the bridge. Oh, we've got to close these. We've got to close these. Good push. Casual day. A lot of work.
Countryside.
Yeah.
Minding your own business.
Yeah, just another 28. One down, more to go. So luckily there wasn't too much of a gap from the last lock to the next one. So we just walked along the towpath. And because the locks do use quite a bit of water, the boat that was ahead of us, they saw us coming behind them. So they've waited. So we can both go and use the lock together. So we only need to drain once the water out rather than twice for 2 sets of boats. Now, filling these locks is not fast. They say it takes a crew of 2, an average of about 10 to 15 minutes to go through a lock, and with another 27 of them ahead of us, this could take us between 5 to 7 hours. But we have a full crew of 4 healthy guys working together, and I'm curious to see how quickly we can do this. We've already completed one, we've just started the second, and I should time it, see how long it takes us. So let's start that. There we go. We'll probably add 15 minutes to the end. Gareth, doing great. Back at the helm.
Yeah, got the hat on, the collar up because it's getting warm.
It's sunny out.
Not used to this sun here in England.
Oh, it's pretty nice out here.
We get 2 weeks of sun every year, and it's looking like this might be one of them.
This might be the week. In order to accomplish this faster than the average time, everyone has a role. Gareth here has to get our very long narrowboat in and out of the locks safely, which has the added challenge when we're squeezing in with a second boat.
I Yeah, what's really like coming into the lock is fine.
Yeah.
But like to stay over to one side to let someone else in as well, it's tricky. It's really tricky.
It's a cute boat they have. Clearly they live aboard. Look at all the plants. Cactus on top. Meanwhile, Ed and Jamie are on land doing the manual labor, swinging the gates and cranking the paddles open and closed. I'd like to point out, we're out here, and there is nothing else around. We are in the peaceful countryside. The only thing you can hear is the little murmur of the engine propelling these along. Is that 3 or 4 locks so far?
3 down. 3 down.
26 to go.
Smooth and getting progressively smoother,
Yeah.
I think.
So operating these locks is very mechanical and a little physical. There are no computers or machines to help, but it's pretty amazing when you realize that this canal and these locks were built in 1810. Yeah, the canals used to be full of narrowboats moving goods around the country even before the steam train was invented. And over 200 years later, we're still able to navigate them today. I gotta say, that is impressive. Now, we might not be a crew of savvy sailors, but our vessel is a little more comfortable than what they had in the 1800s. So while we move from one lock to another, this is actually probably a perfect time to give you a tour. So this is obviously where we drive from. Controls are here, tiller, and welcome to downstairs. Right away, you walk into bedroom number 1. This is a double bed. The guys have just dropped their stuff here for now. They're gonna get that sorted into the closets and cupboard space we have here. TV in the corner, which probably never get used, but good sized bed. Then we move through into the ensuite bathroom that has a full-size shower. I mean, look at this. This is amazing. Taller than 6 feet. I don't want to stand in there with my shoes, but plenty of space. Around the corner, on board a boat, it's called a head. It is the toilet. There are 2 chairs in there. You can pull them out. You can sit, enjoy the company of your friend, or those are mostly just for storage at the moment. I think we'd bring them up onto shore. And like any bathroom, you got a sink. Let's keep moving. Through here is the galley. Comes with a full gas stovetop grill, oven, sink over here, lots of counter space, coffee maker, microwave, 2 fridges, wine rack, pretty much anything you could need in a kitchen. Sorry for the mess, we've brought some groceries. Then you move into the seating area. This also has a table, pops out to be a dining room, a TV, which we won't use, and through here is another ensuite bathroom and another bedroom. You were probably wondering, there's 4 guys on board. Where are you all gonna sleep? 1, 2, 3 in this room, and 1 on the big bed out there. So we're very comfortable. Of course, lots of storage space along the way. Storage and drawers underneath. And you come out onto your front deck. And we're perfectly timed to be in the final of the lower locks, about to enter the main staircase. That ahead of us is the steepest set of locks in the UK. The Cane Hill flight is 16 locks in a straight line headed up the hillside. Comparatively, what we've just done is nothing but a warm-up. Well, so far, I've done a whole lot of talking and not a lot of working like these guys. So I'm gonna put the chest cam on, cue the music. We're gonna do a montage as we do the 16 locks. Here we go. So I've got to grab a windlass and get onto land somehow. Okay, here I go. All right, you're in good hands. Let's do this. Now, I do not know how I convinced the guys to do this with me. I mean, think about it. To spend 6 hours or so walking uphill, pushing gates and cranking paddles under the beating sun, I mean, yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. He's very comfortable. He says it's quite easy. If one of you wants to try driving the boat, no, okay. In designing these locks so close together, the engineers encountered a unique challenge of keeping enough water in each of the locks.
When we're on the hill, when we're on Cane Hill locks, the gap between the locks is only about the same length as a lock. So if we've got to put 8 foot of water into the lock below, if the bit in between was only the same width, we're going to drop 8 foot of water out of it, so no boats would ever be able to go through it. So the expanse of water at the side actually instead of length. So rather than dropping 8 foot, it drops by about that much because you've got all the extra water in there.
So in order to ensure they had enough water to fill these back-to-back locks, they built large holding ponds off to the side, so no lock would ever go dry.
Normally locks are further apart than they are along here. And when we get up to the flight, you'll see how close they are. It's quite exciting to have a look at it and realise what you're about to do.
Right. But the question is, where does all the water at the top even come from? Oh wow, there's a whole bunch of solar panels back there, and it says the lock flight pumps are operated by the sun. So those solar panels are powering that pump house, which pumps the water from here back to the top. So since we have so much water coming downhill, they either need a major water source at the top to keep the water flowing, and they don't necessarily. So this pump house has water that's just come out of the lock, goes straight back into it, gets pumped to the top. So they're able to recycle the amount of water going. It actually can pump more water up than can come down at one time. And all of that is powered by those solar panels. Cool system.
It's epic. I mean, it's impressive. So I don't even know when it was opened, but the idea that you would just build a waterway going up a big hill, and that it still works now, right?
You're right. The engineer that looked at this and said, no problem, we can get boats up that.
Yeah.
Made it happen, and they still do. An hour and 20 minutes so far. Jamie's moving. Jamie's looking to make record time here. This type of physical challenge is just something you don't get in your daily lives anymore. This is like historic engineering still in practice. Overall, none of this is too difficult. Anyone of any age can do this, but with 29 locks, it just takes a while. I like how they design these areas to push with your legs. Little bricks to step into. Still a long way to go. This is Ed's first time driving. Look at that, looking good. You see, even rookies can do it. Oh, it's like you've been doing this for years. There we go. We've done the old switcheroo. Now I'm at the helm. It's nice having 3 friends along, so we can all rotate and take turns. Oh, perfect. I think I still got it. Love that. I mean, clearly driving the boat is the least work, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult or stressful. Now, as the skipper, driver, you have to make sure you don't go too far back or you're bumping the back gate, and not too far forward that you're bumping the front gate. I love how this used to be a cargo highway, and yet 200 years later, we're just doing that as an excuse to get out and do something unique together.
The last one of the flight.
This is the last one. We've made it. By George, we've made it. The last gates, the last lock. I don't know what we're gonna do after this. We came just to climb the locks. I guess we go explore what else is in this canal. Maybe go get something to eat. Thank you very much. Thank you. So that is officially the top of the Cane Hill locks. But it's not the end of our journey. So I guess now the question is, how long did it take us? And so, I think it's only appropriate that we now stop the timer, and we have, oh! That was not done on purpose. We hit exactly 4 hours, almost, yeah, to the minute. 4 hours and 13 seconds, which was just me pulling out my phone. Amazing! We're not just cruising. We have what they call the long pound, which I think is about 15 miles without any locks, which means at 3 miles an hour, take us about 5 hours of cruising until we get to our next lock. This is why I love narrowboat. How calm this is. I think the word I'm looking for is serene. So after all that work, I think we've earned ourselves a traditional British meal in a charming pub. And since we're here in the UK, that should be easy enough. It's all stinging nettle. I mean, that's fine, I just don't want it. Can I throw you the center line? I can jump here. Ready? So this might be the spot. Throw me the back rope. Go on. Tie the other end. It should be rung already. Ringed. The other end should already have a ring on it.
This is where all my theories that Gaz is like one of the smartest people I know fall apart.
He's good. Wait. You're gonna go put your hand around this edge.
How much do you want?
All of it?
Yeah, as much as you can. Do you not throw rope very often?
Ready?
Yeah.
Over here.
Woo, look at us. 2 one-handed catches. Oh yeah. It's working. I think that's as far in as it goes. This is as close as it gets.
Come on, Ed.
That's beach now. That's...
Park here.
You can't park there, mate. Technically, we can. We can put in the stakes and we can call it this. The other option is we keep going. Or we order food and one of us goes to get it and we eat on board. You want to keep going?
Keep going.
Keep going. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're getting on.
Definitely doable. Maybe like the edge of the rope would help.
I don't need the rope.
Oh, shit the bed. Yeah.
Leap.
That's going to be amazing for the vlog.
You all right?
You all right, Ed? Yeah, no, I'm good.
Tell you what, I might just meet you up down the road. No, I'm just kidding. See if I can do any better.
Follow through. Yeah.
We don't do what we did, but we continue. Okay, this might be the spot. This might be the spot, although we're getting a little far out here. That's on me. I wonder if we've run aground. Can't get much closer. Well, it's not the spot, that's for sure, but all right.
Challenge 1.
Yeah, challenge 1.
We thought the locks were going to be the hardest thing today. But the challenge now is trying to find somewhere along here to park.
So dinner is at a restaurant in town that way. We've already gone past it and we're running out of places to park and we're just getting further and further out of town. With a lack of clear parking and us not wanting any more injuries, we have a backup plan. Just a little further up the canal. What's the verdict on the restaurant?
So the pub it's 7:30 p.m. and the kitchen is just closed. But
Ridiculous.
They have moorings available and they're happy for us to order takeaway food, which we can eat in the pub as long as we buy a drink.
Watching the football, having a beer.
So that feels perfectly a reasonable compromise.
Very reasonable.
Tending to bruised ribs.
Yeah. So
right.
the Bridge Inn have come to our rescue at short notice,
Well
even
done,
if
the Bridge Inn.
even if their kitchen closes before 7:30.
I should have remembered from my last series on the canals that food is always the most difficult part.
Right.
You go through beautiful little villages where the pub closes early or they don't serve food on certain days.
Right.
And if you miss it, if you miss the one that's open, you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, which is where you want to be, but not without
where you
food.
wanna be when you're hungry.
Okay, this is the Bridge Inn on the left. No need to leap this time.
No leaping required.
Yeah. Whatever's safest. Thank you, sir. Right. Jamie is our knot master. We'll lock up the doors. Officially moored at the pub, at the Bridge Inn. All right, let's get some dinner. Honestly, great parking spot. Sun is setting.
Oh my
The
goodness.
beer garden is here. Wow. Oh, the boys got beers already. Wow. Well done, fellas.
Well done to you.
Okay, and that's to you.
Whoa! Man down.
No.
This is not connect. We got to move. It's not-
This is fucking.
yeah, for 4 big boys, let's pick the solid one.
Cheers. Well done, everyone.
Yeah, we earned it.
Well done, everyone. Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, beauty. Thank
All
you.
right, let's go over the plan.
This way. Let's see.
Yes, I've marked it. Okay, so here's the plan. We need to get further down the canal to something called a winding hole, where we can turn the boat around to head back and return our rental boat. But we have a few obstacles in our way, but we'll tackle those tomorrow. Well, I think that's a plan then. So with the kitchen closed at the pub here, we've ordered Indian food from a nearby restaurant that luckily delivered to us here.
It's like a fucking sauna down.
Oh, nice.
we go, mood lighting.
All right, what do we have? Why don't you tell us?
We have a garlic and a peshwari naan, pila rice, biryani, butter chicken, and this is a chicken danzak.
A whole variety of curries.
We've got all the curries imaginable.
Yes. Well, we're gonna eat well tonight. Now, I don't know if it's just because we worked up an appetite from those lox today, but this is the best curry I have ever eaten. And I can't wait to see what we have in store for us tomorrow, which luckily is today. Good morning. Oh, what a beautiful morning. All right. Away we go. Those are some loud birds. And now we're just going through a charming brick bridge. When the weather is this nice, how can you not love this? Just another day on the high seas. Now the challenge for us today is we want to cover as much ground as we can, see as much as we can. That's what we've come here for. Just do a lot of this cruising. And then I think we're gonna have to head back. We'll figure that out when we get there.
And it's so nice knowing you've just got a day of steady cruising, no locks, no leaping up and down.
Yeah, we don't have any locks today.
Yeah.
And we've got nowhere to be and nothing to do, except this.
Just watch the world go by about 3.5 miles an hour.
Yeah. We're not showered yet, but that's because if you want hot water, you have to run the engine for about an hour. And so Ed is eagerly awaiting a shower. I mean, we all are, but it's quite nice knowing you can't really, and you've just got to get started on your day.
You've got to wear yesterday's clothes.
Yeah.
4 grown men sleeping in a confined space. It's like the black hole of Calcutta in there.
Well, it really forces you to come out into the fresh air. Yeah. The word for it really is just as charming, isn't it? But while it is relaxing, you're never without a task.
There we go, right.
Oh, this is okay. Our first challenge of the day, and I think this is my first ever swing bridge.
No time like the present.
No time. All right, straight to it.
So windless for you.
There is never a dull moment. Here we go. We haven't even made our first cup of coffee yet.
How are you supposed to function?
Yeah, exactly. I can't work under these conditions.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Making coffee?
Yep, we've got Indian Monsoon Malabar coffee.
Oh. While Gareth makes the coffee, I'll take the swing bridge. Here we go. So I have done in the past a lift bridge, but this is a swing bridge. So this bridge is going to rotate, it's going to swing, I think, out and over this, maybe by the looks of it. Onto this. Is that it? Or just push? Oh, hold up. That is satisfying. That is good. Oh, Ed, you're missing out. We're doing a swing bridge. Am I supposed to push it from that side? I definitely am on the wrong side. How do I get back? If I push this away from me, there's no way to push it back. That could have been a bad mistake. Okay, push from that side.
Totally screwed.
Yeah. I would have been trapped on the other side.
It's hefty, isn't it?
That's why this has been added to
Oh, so you got more leverage.
leverage.
More tension.
I like that. The only thing is, if you leave this open and someone shows up from the other side, there's no way to close it. You would have to swim. Garrett, how long till coffee?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Push back. Watch your step. Easy, easy. There's a stopper belt.
Yeah, you want to. There you go.
Perfect. All right, let's screw it back in. I just enjoy these little challenges. You think you can just jump onto the boat here, Ed?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's my speciality, as we all know.
Okay, Ed, whenever you're ready, I'll go after you. Yeah. Want to do a bit of a switch? Take it to that? Sure.
Wheels.
Oh.
Go, coffee.
Take the chief. This is what I'm talking about. This is a day now.
Cheers.
Our prestige class rental boat has traditional styling, but not every boat on the canals is built the same.
There are all types of boats along here. This would be great. Probably looks like there's a ton of space, but I like this one up here, the survival boat.
The survival boat is good for 56 people.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Interesting. I guess if it floats, you can bring it to the canals. It fits. That's like towing a guest house behind your boat. That's adorable. This is gonna get tricky. We got some traffic. Wide traffic. Pretty funny when this is the most excitement we get in the morning.
Now, considering what our day was like yesterday, today is going to be much easier.
Morning. Our pleasure. We're in no rush. Enjoy the day. For that being the only moment of stress we've had, that was relatively stress-free. And they thanked us for waiting. Very kind.
In fact, the only other real obstacle we have today is this second swing bridge, which I actually really enjoy.
We bring this just in case that hand screw doesn't work.
I mean, I think these bridges are really neat. It's amazing how they're balanced so well that you can just rotate an entire bridge all by yourself.
Beautiful. Take us away, Captain Jamie. We haven't seen a road in ages. Just the most serene moment. Look at this. All right, so the boat does come with towels and a towel warmer. The bathrooms are pass-through, so the rule is when the doors are closed, you don't pass through, because otherwise they would see it. And as far as I'm told, the shower is a normal shower. All right, I'm gonna shower. I'm gonna leave you here. And look at us now, fresh as a daisy, fit as a fiddle.
Daisy, ready to go.
The whole group. Ready to go for not much, just this.
More of the same.
More of the same.
Well, I guess actually, if you do get bored, there is lots to do, which is exactly what we do. In fact, we've been standing on this boat all day. It's time to go stretch our legs.
As nice as it is being on the canal, we're gonna venture off into the woods. This is a nature preserve just on the side of the canal. Well, that's a cool.
Yeah, these are great. So these are often used for people on horses.
Ah.
So they don't have to get off, so it's higher up.
Cool.
Out here, there are plenty of walking trails, and even ones that go past some hungry neighbors.
Oh, there they are. Hi. Oh, yes. Hello. Hi.
This stuff? No, no good.
Holy moly, that's a bull. I got it. Oh, what a ton. Yes. Have a nice day.
And without many restaurants out here, we did come prepared.
Smells good. What you got cooking?
We got some steak, which Ed very kindly supplied.
Oh, yes. Bring chefs on board. Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Oh, that's lovely. Wow.
Well done. Alrighty, let's do this. So this is tight, but if you pull the first loop out, and the rest will just come completely undone. Look at that. Boom. And we are free. Easy.
What is that? Oh, our water is critically low.
We need water. Ready?
Yeah, ready. Hit me.
Oh, beautiful. Not bad at all, if I say so myself. Our boat on board, we have a hose. So we've connected it to the water point, and we put it in to our water tank. And now we sit here and wait as it fills up. Probably take 15 minutes. It's quite a bit of water. Quite a bit of showers.
I mean, when there's nothing to do, that's when you can do anything. And that's why I brought these guys, because we get to do it together. But we've done the countryside, and I want to try taking a narrowboat into the city. So, this is the canal, and this is the city. There is one city in the world that is most well known for its canals. However, we're about to cruise a narrowboat into the city that has more miles of canal than Venice. This is Birmingham, and welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat. Now, to book this adventure, I used drifters.co.uk, and they found us a boat with ABC Boat Hire. Welcome to Dusky Lark. So, let me give you a tour on board. Lots of space here for steering and for guests to sit. Let's head in to the first of 2 bedrooms. It's a double bed. It's kind of perched up for daytime mode. Goes down, goes slightly wider at night. 2 large windows, so lots of light in here. Large closet for all your stuff. As we come down the hall, we come past the first of 2 washrooms. Both washrooms are incredibly spacious. I'm gonna stick my arm out and not touch anything, but they also both have full-size showers. As we leave the bathroom, we come into the second bedroom. Lots of natural lighting with the big windows, and then we pass the second washroom, also a shower. And then we enter the kitchen. Full gas stovetop, grill, oven. They call it an escape hatch, I call it a sunlight. Big windows again. For a kitchen on a narrowboat, really bright, really spacious, and that leads us into the living room and dining room. Kind of does both. Personally, I love the L-shaped seating, so you can look out the window as we're cruising along. And of course, the final piece is our front deck. But this doesn't look like the city, does it? Well, that's because the marina where we rented this from is in Alvechurch. It's outside of Birmingham. There are no rental boat companies in Birmingham. So we rented it, and we're headed into the city today. As you can guess by the title of this video, Birmingham does have more canals than Venice. In fact, Venice only has about 26 miles of canals. Birmingham at one point had 126 miles. Mind you, 26 of that has been left abandoned. So there's still 100 miles of active canal in Birmingham. And that's what we're gonna go see. Well, as much of it as we can. I have to admit, immediately, I would not guess we are anywhere near a city. I think that's what we're gonna see. Is this is the beautiful part about the canals, is even though it can be so close or even in a city, it often won't feel like you are at all. Right away, compare this bridge to the bridges from the previous video. Nice little brick bridges. This is a traffic bridge. We are definitely getting close to a city. Headed to Birmingham. See if we get there. Thanks. It's pretty incredible. We'll be just puttering along, come underneath something that reminds us we're getting close to a city, but then suddenly you're just back in a field or the countryside, just so sheltered from the elements of the city. Wow, this is nice. Remember, most canals run through the countryside. I tried narrowboating for the first time 2 years ago with Nicole, back when I had long hair, and we saw more sheep and cows than we did people. But this time, we're heading towards a city. And yes, I mean we. I don't have to do this boat alone. Nicole is joining us, everybody.
Oh.
Down in the distance is the tunnel. Nicole, the tunnel is here. Okay, we need to turn on all the lights inside.
Aye, aye, Captain! I don't know where they are, I'll find them!
I need to turn on the headlight and give 2 strong blasts of the horn and 1 long one. This is going to be a very long tunnel, so it's going to be very cold. We're going to need heavy sweaters. And the other thing that we need are life jackets. Nice toss bed. Very sexy for the camera.
All the lights are on, Captain.
All the lights are on. The front light is on.
Good thing I just put sunscreen on.
Sweater, life jacket, coffees, lights are on. We're ready.
45 minutes, so who's got the time? I think I made the coffee stronger. Maybe a little too strong.
Yeah, it's good. It'll get us through the tunnel. So this is the Wast Hill Tunnel. It's 2,493 meters long. But what I find really interesting is there's obviously no tow path inside, so the horses would go up and over and meet you on the other end of the tunnel. But it is in fact wide enough for 2 boats. So the tunnel is wide enough for another boat to pass. Oh, it's dripping on me. Feel that? It does leak a little bit. That's cool. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's like covered in stalactites. This is a
brick-lined tunnel, but all I can see are stalactites, stalagmites, cave slime. When you encounter a big hill, the fastest way for a boat to get to the other side is to simply go through it. But building a tunnel is obviously more expensive and more work, but it's critical to keeping the flow of cargo and goods moving quickly, even if that high speed is only 3 miles per hour.
Look at this drip coming up. Like that's like a proper shower.
Oh, good luck. Yeah. I'm going inside. See ya. You're doing great. Oh.
Okay.
It's just groundwater seeping through. Let's blow the horn again. One more time. That's pretty cool. This is a very, very wet tunnel. So as you can see, the reason they tell you to turn all your inside lights in the boat on is so they reflect on the walls. And that helps you see better as you go through the tunnel. You can tell where the tunnel edges are, so you can make sure you're staying in the middle.
Long way to go.
Oh, that sign. That says 300 meters. We've gone 300 meters of 2.5 kilometers.
Oh my God.
As you can tell, a 45-minute long tunnel is in fact the longest tunnel on this canal.
So how old is this tunnel?
No idea.
You don't know. That's not your job.
Nicole is right. I normally do a lot of research before these trips.
Is it wet?
No, it doesn't say.
But I can tell you now that it was built in 1796, which is so old. I mean, this is a tunnel for boats that is still operating today.
Okay, we can actually see brick here. This stretch seems to be a lot drier. I love how the water is so perfectly calm and flat that it almost makes like a perfect pipe, perfect tunnel, perfect round entrance, as opposed to a half circle tunnel, flat surface, if you know what I mean. But you can tell, you can see here, it's not a perfectly straight tunnel. It's a little bit S, so Nicole's definitely having to steer us through. But it's definitely straight enough that we can see the exit. Tiny little pinprick of a light. We've done 600 meters. Just another 1900 meters to go.
I mean, how cool is this? Floating through a tunnel on essentially a houseboat. I mean, I don't know where else in the world you can still operate and experience this type of engineering.
So the reason they make us wear the life jackets is because there's no towpath for you to just pull yourself up on. If some reason you got knocked off the boat, whatever reason, and started to fall back, if the other person didn't notice, well, you can't just pull yourself off on the towpath, but
you could hit your head a lot more easily.
You could hit your head a lot more easily, and also it's very difficult to be spotted because it's so dark in here. So you could be in there for a while.
I couldn't imagine the worst spot to fall out.
I want you to know, outside is warm enough for t-shirts, but inside is so cold you can see our breath. Look at that. That is cold.
See the waterfall again.
No, it's coming.
Oh, I see it on the water.
Yeah. Might just bring it in here and hear you better.
It feels a little mean that you just want to get my reaction of getting hit in the face with a fluid.
Your reaction is better than mine.
Feels like a tough look.
Not of a fluid. Don't say it like that.
Well, I'm just calling it like I see it.
Oh.
Here's your air shaft, baby.
Here's an air shaft.
There are 2 ventilation shafts which are used to bring fresh air into the tunnel, but they were also used during construction to haul out dirt and rock while they were digging the tunnel.
Feels like we should stop the boat right under it and have a singing solo in the spotlight. Oh, we're getting closer.
I find it so incredible that we've been left alone to drive a boat ourselves underground for 45 minutes in a tunnel that was built well over 200 years ago.
That is so dark behind us. Tiny spot of light, which means we're almost done. It just got bigger in here, and it feels a little bit more like a cathedral. This is spacious now.
It's me like riding a bicycle. It's really just on autopilot.
Now, it's not immediately clear as we exit the tunnel where we are exactly. But let me tell you that we have in fact reached the outskirts of Birmingham.
And that is it. Oh, you feel that?
Yeah.
Instantly warmer.
Woo.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got my inhaled enough diesel to last me the next couple of years.
Well, we got fresh air now. Onwards to Birmingham.
The air smells so fresh in comparison. You don't realize how much you miss it.
No, you can instantly feel it as you come out of the tunnel.
I feel like I'm still soaked.
You are still soaked. The boat looks like we've been out in the rain all day. Instead, we've been in a tunnel.
Yeah.
on your nose.
Yeah, I don't think you need it close up with my pores, but thank you. This is great. Let me know, I'll drop my skincare routine.
So it's hard to get an idea of how long things are going to take on the canal, but since you go about walking speed, I tend to put it into my GPS and just check for directions for walking. Also, it will give you the walking directions generally along the canal path. So yeah, this is good anywhere on the left. I'd like us to get to the Gas Street Basin. We have about another 3 hours to get to Gas Street Basin.
This is the behind the scenes shots that you don't normally get to see. Michael has pulled the boat over and he is now flying the drone. I have the fun job of holding the boat to the side of the river whilst Mike flies the drone. This is the sexy stuff you just don't get to see on DownieLive normally. How the sausage is made. We're just hanging out in neutral. Cruise is on pause until the drone footage is done. Isn't that right, Mike?
That tunnel had us cross the city limits and arrive in a community. But you wouldn't guess it from down here, would you? I can't see anything other than trees and greenery. But there are a few small hints that we're getting closer to the city. We've stopped the engine. We've been struggling the last little bit. I think, well, we're not sure, but we think there might be something in the propeller. You have the keys in your pocket? I gotta admit, this is not the cleanest looking water. I don't want to stick my hand in there, but if we're not going anywhere, I'm gonna have to. Oh yeah, we've definitely got cloth of some sort. Yeah, we got something. Can't tell if it's a blanket or a sweater. Ooh, wood and part of a pop can so far. So you want to be very careful with your fingers. I'm doing this very slowly. I might need like a knife. Thank you. That's some of it. Yeah. Heavy. Oh, is that the rest of it? That might be it. That is a big, like, doormat carpet or something. Let's check. I think we're free. I think that's it. Look at that. Whew. No wonder we weren't going anywhere. We're gonna test this. Make sure it's sealed before we shut it up. No water is coming up from it. We're good. Feel better?
Thank you for sorting it.
An intersection we didn't anticipate. This way. Now, some other hints that we're headed in the right direction towards the city center are a little more obvious. We're starting to see a little bit more graffiti than we did in previous videos. We're getting close to the city. Nicole and I have ridden on a handful of canals and canal boats together, and this one's interesting. It's not the usual scenery we get along the canals, so I'm curious to see what it's like as we get closer to the city center. You can see how urban it suddenly feels. We're just next to a bunch of warehouses. That means we're getting closer to downtown. I just saw a sign that says we're about 2 miles from the university. The canal here was how they transported goods in the UK before the steam train was invented. And the high speed of the train was what eventually put the canals out of business. But here, they live side by side still. Yeah, train station right here. I could have picked you up right here. The train station. And the canals have changed from a busy industrial area over the years to a quiet place in, well, the middle of the city. It was Waterside Estate. Nicole brought snacks. In fact, a lot of locals use the towpath as walking or cycling trails. So Nicole's gonna give them a try.
What kind of shots would you like? I'm gonna go take some shots of you driving the boat. Oh. Oh yeah, I'm going for a walk. Totally normal, natural. Nothing to see here. You just nice to see his eye roll. I'm going for a walk. The thing about narrowboats is you don't get a lot of steps in.
Good one. I'm stuck. We've grounded. Let's go back. And while she's getting her steps in, I get to eat the rest of the snacks.
I tend to use my hips a lot for steering, rather than my hands.
Hey there, sailor.
Howdy.
You looking to take any wenches aboard?
Only dames. We take damsels, but only if they're in distress.
So that's a no. It's a hard no on the wenches.
Hard no on the wenches. Ladies and dames only.
Now we are approaching the University of Birmingham. It's the 7th largest university in the UK with about 35,000 students. But I can tell you, from down here on the canal, you'd hardly know it at all. I mean, without this sign, I wouldn't have known we were passing it. Now, all of this talk of us narrowboating through a city with more canals than Venice, and yet we haven't seen any city. But I think that's about to change.
We've passed the University of Birmingham, so we're officially in Birmingham. But it doesn't really feel like it yet, except for the occasional train. Not much. Ooh, is that something?
And under this final bridge, we are arriving in the Birmingham city center. And along the rest of this trip, we haven't seen a single boat on the canal so far, yet the city center here is suddenly very busy. It's a different feeling to the canals in the countryside.
We suddenly went from nothing to so much action. I mean, in terms of canal boating. This used to be full of warehouses, obviously for shipping goods on and off of the canals, which is what it was all about, and now it's this lovely retail area.
But I'm worried, just like everywhere in the city, parking might be difficult.
It's cute, but it's busy. We want to find the visitor mooring spots. Do you remember what side they're on? Let's keep going. We'll go to the next one. These are visitor moorings. We're gonna keep going a little bit, but we're gonna keep this as a backup. Come back if we have to. I think this one's a restaurant. Everyone's so dressed up. I don't know if I have any clothes that'll fit in here.
That's always the case. That has nothing to do with being on canal.
No. Nice basin though.
This is Gas Street Basin.
So we're coming through a very narrow point, and this was one of the toll houses where you'd have to stop and pay the toll to use the canal. You're clear?
Built in 1772, and it is now full of marinas for narrowboats and restaurants for people. And as you can see, it's busy. This is technically the end of one canal, and just up ahead is the beginning of a different canal. So they connected them with this very narrow stretch here, where you would normally have to pay a toll to pass through.
That is a great example of the original, like, working, coal hauling narrowboats. No living space there except for the back little bit for the traveler. I want to say I'm just filming. Nicole's doing a perfect job of managing this tight spaces with all the gongoozlers watching.
But all of these old buildings were warehouses and factories that used the narrowboats to ship their goods to other parts of the country. And they've now changed to restaurants and pubs, and the canals have been adopted for recreational use, like what we're doing now. And you can really see how it's brought a lot of life to the area.
Oh my gosh, they have party boats! Everyone's out having a good time in Birmingham. This is the place to be. How do you feel about leaving our boat here overnight?
We could park here, get dinner, do city stuff, and then we don't have to sleep here if you don't want to.
Right. Okay, so we'll moor up. Oh, this says no mooring. That's very confusing right next to the mooring pins.
Must be for...
Maybe it's those ones up there.
The confusion is coming from all these open and available parking spots, but they're actually reserved for all the tour and party boats, as this is where they're based, so we can't park here. But look at all the people. It really is amazing to see how lively this area is.
So I thought we could moor here. I think maybe on the left, but I bet that's full too. Yeah. We could turn around and go back to that other spot, or we can keep going. So at the beginning of the episode, I did reference that this is the Venice more so than Venice. Like, this has over 100 miles of canal in it, whereas Venice only has 26 miles. And like, look at this. Does this not feel like a canal city? We might be able to moor up here.
All right.
There's some boats.
On the right?
And this might just be the hub of it all. This is where a number of canals and side canals come together. Like this big intersection here with a roundabout in the middle. Or is it called a roundabout?
1, 2, 3, 4. Right, okay, this does say mooring for 4 days.
Okay, but that's not really like that.
There's maybe one up on the left. We'll check this sign as well.
I have to say, it's a weird feeling driving our own boat in a city center.
Oh, wait a minute.
This is Legoland.
Yeah, Legoland.
But with that being said, there's not much traffic on the water.
Perfect. park it here on the left. Look at this, in Birmingham. All right, reverse. Yeah! And let's back it up.
I'm backing up.
It's just like finding parking in the city, except it's free for up to 4 days here. Not bad. Now we're gonna lock up and explore the city. So we'll lock our doors, close our blinds, and make sure the boat is tied up tight. This really is prime parking and seems like a good quiet spot in the heart of town. Well, maybe not too quiet. I'm not used to this, but because we're in the city, we can do city stuff. So showered, cleaned up, going on a proper date night. The awkward part is the boat keys comes with a flotation cork ball, but that in the pocket is largely awkward. So, pardon me, Birmingham, they're just boat keys. It's so interesting to see the original industrial architecture built around the canals still being used and loved today. So Nicole and I have decided to stay near the canals to enjoy this unique atmosphere. We are dining tonight at this canal-side warehouse converted to a restaurant. Wow. And out back has a huge patio and live music right along the water, which should make for a great canal-themed date spot. Not a bad view.
Not this way.
But we have a big debate to settle once and for all. We're comparing the difference between chips and fries. Chip, French fry. I vote chips. You vote?
I go restaurant by restaurant, and if they make their chips better than their fries, then good for them, but
so in this case,
the fries are better.
Before we head back to the boat, Nicole and I want to walk off all these chips, fries.
I don't think I would have put Birmingham on my travel list, except for this canal. And I'm not disappointed.
So let's see what Birmingham is like away from the canals. And the first thing we see are people having fun in all sorts of different ways.
Wow. Birmingham's got a lively square. Woo!
Birmingham also has a modern set of trams and some incredible, beautiful old architecture, and of course, more canals, which eventually leads us back to our
home sweet home. Good morning. If I'm honest, it's actually not even morning anymore. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. We've had a very lazy morning, except for Nicole. She's off at the moment at a gym working out in town, because you can do that when you're in a city. This has been a very different canal experience than we normally have. And so today we're just gonna head up a little bit, turn around, and then we gotta head back to return this tomorrow morning. But I think there's still time for brunch. Now I know this feels like a little bit of a repeat of what you just saw from our night last night, but I swear it's different because we're going to the toll house, and the canal is a lot quieter this morning, this afternoon. I know.
Again, this is another piece of canal infrastructure that has now been adopted for people to come and enjoy.
I figure if we came all the way here, we had to see it.
The canals were a big part of why Birmingham grew into a booming working town, and it seems like the canals are still at the center of it all.
This is cool, but I think we're gonna sit outside because it's a nice enough day. Cheers. So this bar was the location between two different canals, and they would have to carry the cargo from one canal into another boat in this other canal until this was opened, like 23 years later. This little narrow gap made a big difference. You see, this basin was the end of the Birmingham Mainline Canal, and this basin was the end of the Worcester and Birmingham Canal line. That's a separate canal. Only in 1815 did they connect it with this little connector. And what's now the Canalside Pub used to be the toll house. They'd collect the toll for passing from one canal to the next. I realized that they call an English breakfast just breakfast over here. That was the only option. Would you like breakfast? Yes. You get this.
I really love how narrowboating is a unique mix of history and leisure. Like we're eating brunch on holiday in a canal toll house that is over 200 years old. And I might like the history and engineering aspect of the canals, but they're fun and relaxing enough for Nicole to want to come along too. It really feels like a win-win to me. We just stopped on the way back to the boat, got some groceries, and what we found is Birmingham is very walkable. Basically, once we've arrived by boat, we haven't needed a car. It's been fantastic.
Most canals are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It feels like. Yeah, it's been cool. It's been fun. Ironically, need groceries because we will be in the middle of nowhere by dinner time. We think. Not very many choices.
Right.
Once you leave the city, you're on your own.
It's been nice to arrive by boat and not be trapped without a car. We've done everything we've wanted to do just by walking. Nicole went to the gym this morning.
Yeah.
Just walked.
Yeah.
But our time in Birmingham is up. Okay, good to go. Want to give us a bit of a push? I don't know what I expected in Birmingham, but I had a better time than I thought I would. Can't go anywhere without our tiller. All good things must come to an end, I guess. Thank you, Birmingham. I'll admit, I was a little worried about narrowboating in a city center in front of gongoozlers, but that was a fun stop, and honestly, I think it was the best way to see Birmingham. Can I honk? Making a big turn here. If I really want to get this narrowboat rotating, we've got to head to Scotland. That is a rotating boat lift. It's called the Falkirk Wheel here in Scotland. Well, we're gonna try it. In fact, we're gonna drive our boat up it. It is the world's one and only rotating boat lift, an engineering marvel and one of Scotland's biggest tourist attractions. But heading up it will take us through tunnels, a huge staircase lock, and along some of the most serene landscapes in Scotland. So we are about to enter one of the wonders of the waterways.
It's the one and only Falkirk Wheel.
The Falkirk Wheel. It's been on my narrowboating bucket list for a while. So we've rented this narrowboat online using drifters.co.uk and picked it up at Black Prince Holidays just below the Falkirk Wheel on the Forth and Clyde Canal here.
It's a bit, the view wasn't as good today because of the weather, but
it feels very Scottish.
It does indeed, yeah.
It means the lock is set for us.
It's set for us, yeah.
Gates open.
Ready to go.
This is as easy as it gets. Nicole and I love the canal system in the UK, so we're taking 3 different narrowboats on 3 different canals, including the longest set of locks, the city that has more canal than Venice, and now the famous Falkirk Wheel. Welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat. The Falkirk Wheel is moving already. The Falkirk Wheel is used as a link connecting the Forth and Clyde Canal down at the bottom here, where boats will enter the lift from the basin, rotating up 35 meters to an aqueduct, which then carries the boats to the Union Canal. And all of this will just take a matter of minutes. This is a control
room's up there, yeah.
A control room. Air traffic control, but for the Falkirk Wheel.
Correct.
They have to manage all the boats that are coming up this single lock, tell them to pull over and wait, boats coming from the other direction.
Yep.
You've got tour boats operating here, day rental boats. You've got 3-4 week-long rentals. How long does it take to do a rotation?
15 minutes, maybe even that.
15 minutes less? Felt like less.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
It rotated as we were coming up.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't take long.
The time for it to do a rotation, or a half rotation, is the same as it takes for us to go in one lock, but that has replaced 15 locks.
Yep.
That means it's 15 times faster.
Yeah.
That's going to save us a lot of time, the locks. In fact, 2 years ago, I rode the Anderton Lift, one of the other boat lifts in the UK. But I guess the real question is, why use a lift? Well, 2 episodes ago, some friends and I took on the challenge of climbing the steepest set of locks in the UK, the Cane Hill Flight, with 16 locks in a row, which took us most of the day to climb about the same height as the Falkirk Wheel. But today's ride will only take us about 10 minutes to climb the same 100 feet. There are quite a few tourists here just to see it. Some will go for a ride in the boat, but I love to do it. If you're physically capable to do it, I think you should. We've rented a boat, we're gonna drive it ourselves and go on. And it looks like we're up next. Okay, so how does the Falkirk Wheel work? Well, firstly, we're gonna slide our boat into the lower caisson, which is essentially the name for the tub that our boat will float in.
Do it for me?
Yeah.
What's your boat? If you tie it up in that orange ball, just behind you there.
Roger. Tie it, or just hold?
It's easier, just give it a half turn and then you can tie it up in the boat.
That was easy, very friendly instructions. We're first timers anyways. The gate is closing behind us. Oh, it comes up from underneath. Okay. Is there another one? Watertight gates will close behind us, holding all this water in. And here comes the second gate.
So that first one sealed the canal off, and this is going to seal the water in here. Boom. Okay, we're officially sealed. I call this a bathtub. It's like we're floating in water in a bathtub that's going to get taken up to the sky. I know that's not a technical term, but that's what makes sense to me. Now, so there are 2 boats in the lower bathtub, if you will. I don't know if there are any boats in the one above us. There might be, there might not be. But boats displace the same amount of water as they weigh. The weight of the water leaving is the same as the weight of the boat going in, which means whether there are boats or not in the bathtub above us, we are still the exact same weight. We are at equilibrium. It's like very cool science. And since we are the same weight as the one above us, we counteract each other, which means it doesn't actually take that much weight to rotate us. Because it's not one side is heavy, full of boats, and the other side is light. We weigh the same. We're moving, we're moving.
Now the reason that's important is because our caisson is full of water and 2 boats, which is very heavy, and it needs to be lifted 35 meters into the air, which would be difficult. However, the caisson above us is coming down.
You can see here, this is rotating, because that is what's swinging us out. And we are on wheels, and since we're heavy because of the water, we will always stay flat and level at the bottom. And we're just kind of loose in this rotating wheel. Wow. It's pretty smooth. Holy cow, look at this.
And since they weigh the same, whether or not it has a boat in it or not, it actually doesn't take much energy to rotate the Falkirk Wheel. They say the amount of electricity needed to start the rotation on this is only what it takes to boil 6 kettles of water. Lifting boats into the air is a unique problem, but the result here is a modern piece of engineering that quickly and efficiently does the job. And I gotta admit, it looks pretty cool too.
It's pretty impressive how an entire single piece of infrastructure, which was needed to replace the locks that were here anyways, but you design it in such a way and come up with a creative way of doing it, and it spurred this whole tourism industry here as well. These entire day boats visiting, full of tourists, just to ride this. We're here for 4 days on this, just for this. Pretty spectacular. Look how high up we are now.
But the other benefit of this is that a normal lock is water moving from the top to the bottom. But this system doesn't lose any water because it's always bringing water from the bottom back up to the top.
And that is the other main feature of this, that long aqueduct that sticks out. It's this river in the sky, so you can get to the actual boat lift part. But that sticks out right on the other side of a tunnel. So the sequence is very cool. Come up the boat lift, across an aqueduct, basically, and then into a tunnel. And how long does it take to rotate?
So the rotation that we just done,
Yeah.
4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Well, nice to meet you. Off we go. That was the Falkirk Wheel, but up here's the aqueduct, then a tunnel, a couple more locks. Okay, we're out of the bathtub and back officially in the canal. Ooh, strong wind. We're gonna go straight into the next 2 locks.
I will stay here.
Yeah.
Everyone is so apologetic about the weather.
I know. They don't need to be apologetic about the weather. We guessed it would be like this.
I mean, I'd hoped it wouldn't.
We don't want it to be like this, but look at that. Last view of it. Next stop, tunnel. Tunnel.
And just as we're getting started on this journey, the Scottish weather has suddenly decided to turn itself up a little bit.
Should turn the headlight on. There we go. It's really starting to rain now.
What does a red light mean?
Read the sign right here. Fixed red means stop. It's off. Alternate red and green, proceed with caution.
What does just the red mean?
If it's fixed red, I wonder if the green's not working.
All right.
We were told we can go straight in, so we're going in.
There's no one coming.
It's really starting to rain now.
Yeah.
At least we'll be dry for a minute in the tunnel.
I liked it better when it rained in the tunnels and it was sunny outside.
Right. This tunnel is 180 meters. This might be a weird thing to say, but this is a nice tunnel.
Yeah, it's a nice tunnel.
It's like the most modern tunnel we've encountered.
Yeah.
Lots of space, nice walkway.
Good ventilation.
Well lit. Wow, are we nerds for this now? We're just coming straight into a lock. It's pouring rain. Just take a minute, dry. What's the rush?
And if you thought this series of impressive canal engineering features couldn't get any better than a rotating boat lift followed directly by a new tunnel, wait until you see what's waiting around the corner for us.
Look at the size of these locks. These are massive.
These are 2 consecutive deep locks, known as a staircase lock.
I think this is my first staircase flight.
Remember, the Falkirk Wheel was built to replace a series of locks, but these 2 are still in operation at the top to get us up the final step to the Grand Union Canal.
The impressive part is that's only half of it. Still the next lock to go into. So this is a staircase lock. You go from one straight into the next one. I think some people think we're crazy. Come to Scotland, it's pouring rain, to travel by boat through locks and infrastructure. Yet this is our holiday. And I love that. You can ask Nicole if she does too. She might give you a different answer. I mean, look at the size of those walls. And this is just the top part, but they go all the way to the bottom of the first one.
Now these locks are so large that they are operated by volunteers to help us get through. But we do still have to hold onto our boat in place by holding these ropes around these shimmy pipes here. And that's what I love about narrowboating. You get to participate in each step of navigating a narrowboat.
All right, now we're officially on the Union Canal. The sign over here says we are at the midpoint between Edinburgh and Glasgow. And we are headed towards Edinburgh. There it is. Welcome to the Union Canal. We're officially underway. From the bottom of the first lock we went through, then the Falkirk Wheel, then these 2 locks took us about 1 hour. But it used to take an entire day when it was all the original locks. That Falkirk Wheel really speeds up this process and makes this canal so much more accessible to users like us. Doesn't seem like there's many other boaters out here. Obviously, the canals further south, Wales and England, maybe a little bit warmer. That's why we wanted to come up here, see what's tucked away and hiding in Scotland. And beyond the first 2 locks, it's not too far before you hit your first aqueduct. I know it doesn't look like much here, it's just slightly narrower. But if you look off to this side here, we're over a road. That's cool, I love these features. Jeepers, it's calm out here. Almost no noise except for a little bit of rain on the leaves. And just this calm scenery. For renting one of these to try and get out of the city and away from the hustle and bustle, not bad. I think this has to be one of the greenest, luscious places I've ever seen on Earth. We are approaching the Falkirk Tunnel, which is 630 meters. All right, so we'll turn the lights on. Can you honk the horn? Yeah. Headlights on. I'm gonna turn on all the interior lights. If you saw in our last video, turning the lights on inside helps them glow out through the windows. Oh yeah, you're gonna like these ones. Oh, should we turn these ones on? Yeah! Helps them glow out the windows, which then reflects onto the walls so we can just see how much space we have. There's the tunnel. Yeah! Yeah! Okay. Okay, I think we're set. Look at this scene. What an entrance. So green.
This tunnel is the longest canal tunnel in Scotland. It is 630 meters of solid rock.
This feels like a movie set. Jurassic Park, would you say this feels like Jurassic Park? Too wet?
Well, I would, except you sort of say that at the entrance of every tunnel.
Yeah.
But I am glad you have changed it up from your typical, it feels like Disneyland comments.
That's it. Feels like Jungle Cruise at Disneyland.
I knew it would come to you.
This is the wet tunnel. We can hear it already. We were warned about this.
My head up.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Feels more like a cave than a tunnel.
Yeah, it does feel like a cave. It is well lit. It's actually one of the few tunnels we've passed through other than the one earlier today that has lights in it. Look how tall it is. Now the reason it was built is because a local landowner campaigned to Parliament against building the canal and locks up and over the hill because it would have spoiled the view from his house. So thanks to him, we get this really cool tunnel. Wow, if you are into geography or geology, this tunnel is awesome. Honestly, other than the Standedge Tunnel, which is the longest and deepest in the canal network, this might be my next favorite. Now this used to be a very dark and eerie tunnel until they added all these fun lights in here when the Falkirk Wheel was being built. It's just so odd to me that it's square, this tunnel. All the other tunnels we've been on have been like a tunnel shape, like round. Gotta say, kinda like it. Kinda like it a lot. Just make sure to keep an eye out for the ventilation shafts in the ceiling. This canal was built in 1822, apparently. So I assume this tunnel was built at the same time. Oh, and then look how it ends. It's very, like, huge bricks, like very cathedral-esque as opposed to cave. The engineering on the canals, spot on. Very impressed. From 200 years ago. Like 1822, like exactly 202 years ago. And that's it. That was the Falkirk Tunnel. Well worth the visit. I'd say we're off to a good start on this canal. I like it. I like it a lot.
My hood makes me look like a mushroom. Can you take it off of me without taking my hat off?
So the next thing on the map should be the grocery store.
Yay, my favorite part of the trip.
Yeah, harder. Now swing right. No. Couldn't get it. We'll try. We'll get it on the way back.
We did a scooper net.
Yo,
we could have done. We could
butterfly
have
net.
towed a truckload of garbage behind the Birmingham Canal. Yeah. If we'd wanted to.
Yeah. There were shopping carts we could have pulled out.
That's the first bit of garbage I've seen in this one.
Yeah, very, very clean here so far. This is the Tesco parking lot for boats. Tesco being the grocery store. Quite nice, actually. Oh, there's not much room up front. It's busy. Busy right now. So cue the music. It's time for a montage, and let's make some progress. All right, let's get some groceries. Done well. Actually, now's the perfect time to give you a tour of the place. So it starts with our front deck. Lovely, always a view of the canal. The smallest TV in the world that we'll never use. Fire extinguisher, extra chair, and over in this corner it's a little like battery charging station that I've commandeered. It's plugs and a shelf. It's great. And then we have the dining room, as you saw, followed by the kitchen. Now Nicole and I actually really like this U-shaped setup. We like that we can sit here, look out the front doors. It also feels like an open kitchen. You can talk to each other. We have a propane stovetop. Nicole's making coffee at the moment. Sink, fridge, microwave, and even a wine rack in this one, which is a nice touch. Although I know you're not supposed to put it next to the hot stuff, but we don't really use this much.
We're such wine connoisseurs.
Yeah, it's also £6.50 for the bottle of wine, so we're not too picky. Passing through this way, we have a full, large washroom. It's pretty big, pretty spacious, very well appointed. I like the sink. Toilet on an angle is a nice touch. Shelving for towels and all your stuff. And a pretty close to full-size shower. I mean, I can stand under that, and I'm 6 foot, which is great. Further down the hall is bedroom number 1. That's right, more than one. Big, bright, big windows. I like the yellow, it's a nice touch. Very similar setup to last time. Big closet space. Continue on down the hall. Second washroom, also full size with the big shower. And then the second bedroom, which is right at the back of the boat. And so with that tour, I think we should get underway again. I was looking ahead, and I told you before, I use Google Maps, I use walking, because generally the walking directions will guide you along the canal towpath
from here to Edinburgh, 12 hours of cruising. In a day and a half, that's not impossible. That's 4 hours more today, 8 hours tomorrow, full day. But we do have to come back within 4 days. It's going to be very tight. We might have to put in some long hours. But after being in Birmingham in the last video, I'd like to try. So I think that's the new plan. We didn't come expecting to do that. We kind of thought that was not possible. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But maybe it is. Only one way to find out. In 12 hours. You see, the thing is you can't go any faster on the canals. You can't cut any corners. So with some fresh coffee, we are making way. But hey, this is what I've come to do. I like to be out here on a narrowboat cruising along. The bonus is that it's in the Scottish countryside. The Tesco is right across the canal from the Scotland prison. There you go. You see something new every day. I wouldn't have known that was there unless I came. You see, it's not about being fast, but I will have to put in a couple of long days to make this happen. But we're not here to go quickly. We're here to see it all. It's really not a matter of doing this faster. We're just gonna have to maximize the days. We can't start before sunrise, and we can't boat after dark. It's kind of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So those are the times we'll be boating. Look at the horse. What is that horse doing? The cows are like, no horseplay. But I will say it really is nice that it has stopped raining, allowing us to be out here on the deck, taking it all in. Although I seem to enjoy farm animals more than I thought. Oh, that's cool. Oh, we're in Scotland. Of course we've got sheep. Heck, I'm wearing wool myself. It's the only thing that'll keep you warm out here. I'm gonna do my best to show you more than just livestock. But they're cute, and these ones are all the sheep and cows together. I like how the bridges say Union Canal, and now this canal is actually quite natural. Obviously, except for the bridges. These are very modern bridges. Some canals are wide, straight, heavily used. They were purpose-built for commercial shipping, kind of as expressways. And they're still used as such. This one, as you can see, it's a very natural shore. And in fact, we run alongside the topography. So it curves a lot, as the hillsides do. And it's very quiet, not many boats on here. It's a treat. Of course, the reason we're here is to enjoy the scenery out on the water, but it's also important to take in the history that surrounds us as well. That is an incredible church. Look at the cemetery. Oh, you'll love it. Look at that roof.
I do love an old cemetery.
Wow.
This is where Mary, Queen of Scots was born.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So I guess moor up here?
Yeah.
Go for a walk? I know we said we got to make some ground if we're going to make it to Edinburgh, but we haven't come all the way to Scotland to just skip past everything. Nicole just said that.
I'm very wise.
So we are going to pull in, go for a walk, see the town, get back on the water. We found a spot. Nice. What great parking. You got a lot of weeds at the front too. Keep coming. Perfect. 10 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet. Start reversing. Okay. You're good. Here we go. Okay, what do you want to see?
Town Square and the castle and the church, if those are two separate things.
I think we can do those three things in the same place.
And like if someone's selling ice cream or like old-fashioned lollipops, like I wouldn't say no. Or even like fudge.
Yeah. Now we're talking. That's funny. It says Canal Center that way. Unsuitable for long vehicles. Pretty sure ours is 63 feet long. Linlithgow here is a medieval town, but it's so well kept. It's clearly lived in and loved, and look how the weather has improved for us too. It's the old post office, but it's a bar. So that's a win if I've ever seen one before.
Wow, this is crazy to have a square like this all to yourself. It'd be crawling with tourists in like Italy.
How do you know you're in Scotland? When the cutest town, little square, no people.
Imagine being here 400 years ago. You'd be filthy. You wouldn't have showered in weeks, if not months. Your family would be dead from the Black Plague. Anyways, here's a statue.
But what caught my eye in town was that gold spire atop a tower. That's what I want to find. What a spectacular entrance and roof to a castle. Oh my gosh. Oh, Nicole was right.
Mary, Queen of Scots, was born here. She was born in Lithgow Palace. She was born here. And since then, this list of plaques shows the line of descent all the way to the present monarch. Wow, that's crazy. In 500 years, they've had only 15 monarchs ruling. That's pretty impressive.
You are able to walk around the castle grounds, and it includes some light reading as well.
Well, what is it?
Well, so James first built the original palace, and then his son built an expansion, which is, I think, like the back half.
This is the original. Of course, they didn't place it upon a lake. Remember, it's a lock. So James I was in captivity in England for years, and upon release, fortified this to assert his authority, according to this.
Do you want me to give you an underdoggy?
But we can't stay here forever. We've got to get back to the boat and make more headway.
We're back. We have 2 hours left, so we're gonna get on the water. I was about to say on the road, but good. Yep. Okay, but on the good news side, Linlithgow, beautiful town. If you're coming through, worth a stop, and probably worth staying longer than we did. Look at all the great mooring spots. They've made it so easy, still with a buffer from the footpath. It's a good setup up here in Scotland. And they've picked a spot too where you're gonna have a view, but it's very quiet on the other side. Although if I'm honest, it might have been due to erosion and they're worried about if it leaked and washed out the side, because that has happened in this canal before, that it would flood town. Either way, they've reinforced it and it makes it very easy for us boaters. It's a win-win, really.
So we're about 20 miles away from Edinburgh at this point. We clearly won't make it tonight, but I will keep cruising right up until curfew, which is about 8 p.m. on the canals. In order to keep boating and not stop, Nicole is cooking dinner for us, thanks to our stop in Tesco earlier on for groceries, and I'm doing my best to stay focused on driving.
What a nice swan. Oh my gosh, here are the babies. Two cute gray fluffy swan babies. It's the ugly ducklings in real life. And then here are actual ducklings. Oh, also very cute. What a nice night. This is it, you're just out boating. Don't know what you'll see next. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I didn't do much other research on this canal, so I have no idea what we'll see or come up against next. But I bet we'll see more swans and ducks. But they never get old.
It may feel at times like there's not much to see out here, but there's always something new around the corner.
These are tailings from an old mine. So as you dig out a mine, you have to put what you dig out somewhere. They piled it up here. This is actually a relatively flat-ish part of land, but this sticks out as a huge mound. Ooh, my goodness. Wow.
I even cut up your chicken for you because you're such a big boy.
Well, I need to eat it while steering.
You don't need to make excuses.
Oh, you're right.
Okay. Now here comes the airplane.
Oh boy. Oh, that's delicious. Thank you. Wow. We are losing light. Can't be boating after dark. And it's just going to be really difficult to tie up, and we don't want to do it too late. So we're having dinner now, and we will tie up at the next spot we can find.
Now, I don't recommend eating while driving. I mean, you should always have a hand on the tiller, but at these slow speeds and out here where we're clearly not going to hit anyone else or even anything other than the soft shore, I think I can get away with it for a couple of minutes.
This is such a cool forest, but we are running out of light. On the map, it says the next bridge should have good mooring for us. When was the last time that bridge was used? And we got a nice sky. Oh, I see a plane taking off. We're near Edinburgh. But on this thing, you have to go so slowly. You can be close, but I don't know if we're gonna make it. All right, let's get this thing parked. There should be mooring up here.
It is clearly getting darker now, and we do have to find a good spot to park for the night. And this could be the best spot.
What a sunset. So this is a brand new marina, as you can tell. Everyone that was renting today, none of them have made it here, because none of them boated as long as we did. So we are going to park here and have the whole place to ourselves. Nice. So this is the end of cruising for us today, but it's not the end of our work yet. Okay, here's the problem. Well, the situation. This is a 3-day boat rental. It's kind of called 4, but on day 4 you have to return it by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, because the wheel only starts operating at 10 a.m., we have to go down it the day before. So we have to be at the top lock at 4 p.m.
So it's barely even a
3.
3-day.
The amount of time that we were able to boat today is the exact same amount of time that we have to boat on day 3. So
how long did we boat today?
Well, close to 8 hours. 8 hours. So if we have to leave here at 8 a.m., which is the earliest we can start boating in the morning, that means we also have to be here by 8 p.m. on day 2, tomorrow night. We have 2 options. We either try and do as much of the canal as we can, or we just embrace the fact that we're not going to make it, relax, which is the whole point of the canals.
Yeah.
And go real slow and just see as much as we can and turn around when we need to turn around.
Wow, we've never not made it somewhere before. It's a very odd sensation.
I know. We're a little over-ambitious, which I like because it means we've achieved and seen a lot, but we also miss a lot because we do that.
That's a really good point. We do miss a lot.
And so I think this is what we need.
It's kind of a tough look for us, actually. Yeah.
Now that I know we can't make it, we can't make it,
yeah,
there's no point in trying.
I know. It would have been really fun to pull the canal boat into next to the Edinburgh Castle, but
yeah,
we're going to see it on Saturday anyway.
Yeah. We're going to go slow down and cruise?
Not tonight.
No, but
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. It'll be harder than the pushing ourselves.
All right. It'll be harder than trying to go fast. Yeah. All right. Let's go to bed.
Let's go to bed.
You know what? We can sleep in now. That'll be nice. So I slept in this morning and it felt great. Time is currently 10:54 in the morning. I think I needed a break. I think I needed a reason to slow down. I think since we're not in a rush to get anywhere, we might go nowhere. For a bit, at least. So, with the new goal of not trying to get to Edinburgh, we've actually decided to go nowhere.
Look at this nice little kitty cat.
Hi. Hi.
Isn't it so nice?
Yeah. Very fluffy. He's not the only kitty in the neighborhood. But we will leave the boat in the marina and head into town for a little bit. Find out where we are. We found another castle. It's just down an empty road, and at this point we're unsure if this is someone's home or an actual castle. It's listed as castle on the map. Oh, there's a delivery box. This might be... What a home. You see, I've learned that narrowboating isn't about being on the boat the whole time. It's about having the freedom. Just stop along the way. And we've come to see Scotland after all. Finally giving ourselves the free time means, yeah, we can enjoy a treat and do a little quick maintenance on the boat too. Ooh.
There was a lot of weeds in this.
Oh, there's something on it.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
It's like a tiny eel. Not too bad.
Just weeds.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Considering how wild that canal was, like how natural,
yeah.
Not too bad.
But the weeds won't stop your propeller the way that
no.
Man-made shit will.
Not the way a carpet will. Flashback to last week's episode. We're good? Ready to go? Honestly, I like this. It's like, you don't have to do any maintenance. Little checks. Kind of fun. Gives me something to do. Wow. Nicole just whipped this together for us.
Oh, that was off their meal.
Amazing. A couple of cheeky chips on the side. Because we're in the UK, right? Chips. Thank you.
You're so lucky.
I am so lucky. The other benefit of being moored in a town for the day means some friends of ours that live in Scotland here are able to come join us for the return ride. Where's Nicole? She's over there somewhere. These are Em and Gavin. They live in Scotland, so we thought Why not come and join us? I'm kind of glad we didn't go to Edinburgh in the end. I mean, honestly, I needed this break. I get so focused on the goal and getting somewhere that I often forget to just enjoy the journey.
It's quite narrow, yeah?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's always more fun with friends in the end.
Oh dear, sorry.
You're doing great. I mean, you're out in the middle here. It's just so wooded. I know it's cliche to say, but it's okay to slow down. You're not gonna miss out on life by slowing down. In fact, you'll probably appreciate it more. And with that, we're gonna moor up and I'm gonna stop filming so I can enjoy the evening with friends. But I guess that's kind of the lesson in all of this, isn't it? Aim for something big. Have big goals in life. In this case, Edinburgh. And even if you don't make it, well, you'll still end up somewhere pretty amazing. And likely further than others have gone to. So I think that's what I'm taking away from this. This has been another canal series in the UK. I'm Mike. I don't know where I'm going next, but I know I want you there with me. So thanks for coming along, and I'll see you next week right here on DownieLive.